No, this is wild though. What the heck?
Is it okay if I put this here?
My camera doesn't see me. Huh?
Can I put this here?
Here, just hand it to me. Can you walk past for a minute?
Walk past you?
Okay. So the camera's onto something that like I can't figure out. Let's see here.
I can't even see my hand.
Yeah. Hang on.
That's weird.
Yeah, a little weird. You know what? It might be because of
The green screen effect?
Discord. No. Let's see.
Oh, there you
Yeah,
go.
Discord has it. Okay, fair enough. So I don't need to be on here. That
Oh,
works.
you're not streaming. Oh, okay. You're just
I'm
gonna
streaming,
put
yeah.
yourself on Discord.
Yep.
Okay.
Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
Oh, it's going well, man. How about you?
I am doing pretty good. I just got my fat ass some Burger King, and I just took my medicine, so like 15 minutes I get to eat because I have to take
All
medicine to
right.
eat now.
What'd you get yourself from BK?
I got a Whopper, cheese sticks, and chicken nuggets. We got like $30 worth of food for $15 because of a coupon.
Heck yeah.
Basically, whenever I go to
love
Burger
getting those
King,
on
I
the
get
map.
whatever is the best deal on the app.
I'm not a fan of their app. Their app's frustrating.
It used to be much better, to be
Mhm.
honest. They used to have like awesome deals all the time, and you could use the same coupon like 30 times, and it never mattered. And
Yeah,
now it's a
right?
little less cool.
For sure. And then I like that when you use the coupon to send you in the mail, they just ask you for the 4-digit code. And then you
Yeah,
just, like, I have one that's like 2 bacon doubles and a fry and a drink for like $4 or whatever. That's just chilling out in the cup holder so that I can just look at the number and tell them.
yeah. I always
This is
screenshot them
what I
too, just
need.
in case if they're still there, but they won't let me use it again on the app. I just pull up the screenshot and tell them.
Amen.
Can I get video from you too, if that works?
Yeah, you know what? I was trying to tell it to preview my video. Uh, where's this?
Sometimes it won't work if you've already given access to another app.
Let's see. Oh,
Speaking
yeah,
of,
yeah, you're right. You're right. Yep. USB video device. How about this? Well, then my light turned off. What the heck? Huh? Here it comes. It's somewhere. Turn off, turn on. Let me see.
can I rearrange the video or the windows? I don't think I can.
Get a full screen here. And tell it video. It's voice, video settings, USB, test video. Well, I was just working on OBS. I wanted to make sure it was turning on.
I guess I'll just focus on you. Oh, you have OBS on?
I did, but I turned it off. I just wanted to test to see if the position I had the camera at was alright.
Oh, good. I gotcha.
Yeah, those are both voice settings, so that's fine. Input mode, no, camera. Yeah, and every time I go to preview it, here, let me restart Discord. BRB.
Okay. Sounds good. Oof, that is a lot of me. Let's make that smaller. Ah, I made it bigger. We'll just move this up for a minute.
Alright, let's see if we can do turn on camera. Aha, the light's on, which means it should be working. Video.
By the way, your icon is fantastic.
Tells me something's loading.
Yep, I see the little boxes moving. Hey, thanks for following me, buddy.
This is like back when I was being a musician, constantly having music gear problems.
Speaking of, I started playing guitar on Rocksmith.
But now I can't hear you at all, or see you.
Oh, you can't hear me?
Whereas before I had both.
Get back. Stop. Get back. Come on in, hurry.
Can you hear me?
Oh my god.
Okay.
Kiora, get down.
You know,
I
maybe
definitely turned the
will still
light
use
on
the green screen.
for my camera because there's a little ring light on the camera.
That's a light.
Hi, Travis.
So it sees
you.
it
How you
and it's
been?
working with it.
Okay, Kiora, come on. Kiora, come on. We don't need to knock him down. Kiora.
Jamie, you still play MTG Arena?
No.
Oh, alright.
I played it for like a minute.
I just got it back on my phone. I've been playing it a lot.
Wait, Magic Arena?
Yeah.
I think AFK. Yeah, I play Arena all the time.
Yeah.
Oh, add me.
I will. Send me your thing on Facebook and I'll add you later when I get home.
Okay.
Alright, thank you guys so much for letting us borrow this money.
Yeah, no problem, buddy.
I really appreciate
And
it.
if you're bored later, you watch my stream.
Oh,
Or you can watch it on YouTube too.
Alright, yeah, I'm always watching your streams whenever I play video games and shit.
I appreciate it, buddy.
If you guys need anything, call me.
Okay. Oh my god, you're so
Can you hear me yet, bud?
Alright, I'll
We
talk
are
to you
doing the
guys later.
technical difficulties.
Hold it off.
Alright, I love you guys.
Love you too, bye, honey.
Love you too, buddy.
Okay, settle down. I'll just settle down.
I think we may end up having to stick with just voice. We'll have to see. Probably should have figured all this out before I started the stream, but here we are. I already started it. No going back now. Hey, so I see we got a couple of people in here right now. My friend's just dealing with some technical difficulties. He's getting it squared up right now. So bear with us for just a minute. We will get going. Okay, I'm going to restart the call, see if that fixes the issues. I'll start with the voice. Oh, you know what? Volume mixer. That didn't even occur to me. Hold up. Let me check. I see. Okay. And then voice and video. I still can't hear you, bud. Yeah, you got no audio coming through. He wasn't even lighting up. Heck. Oh no. He said he broke everything. We are working on it. Cold cheese sticks are terrible.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
Jeez. I just got a random message from Travis saying restore Discord settings to default.
Hell
And
yeah.
it worked. All right. And then it just keeps wanting to turn my it doesn't really want to load my camera.
Okay.
All right.
Well,
Turn it off. No use overworking the darn thing.
yep, that's true. All right, I'm just going to turn mine off here and just enable my camera on here, even though my camera's super weird right now. There we go, and I fixed it. Okay, so first of all, how the hell are you?
I'm well, man. Very well.
Really glad to hear that, buddy.
Yeah, it feels weird to say that the last year was the best of my life, but it is the fact. And I mean, it was a hot summer, not even speaking literally. And then it was a pretty wild year. But yeah, the things that happened in my life were very, very happy. So
Oh, hell yeah,
I guess
man.
it is what it is, you know? You gotta take the good with the bad, you know?
That's fair. You do.
How have you been?
I have been, well, it's been up and down. Like the whole COVID shit has basically kept
Yeah.
me in my house for an entire year straight. That was kind of wild. So like from March 13th to like just a little bit after that of this year, I did not leave at all. So I'm overweight with asthma, and nobody in my house really left at all. We had everything delivered. All groceries were like curbside. So I'm just reacclimating myself back out into the world, and it's weird.
I haven't had to use an inhaler since high school, but yeah, I struggled with asthma as a kid, so that was definitely at the forefront of my mind. You know, I went on to since become a smoker and everything like that, and probably
Sure.
damaged them after fixing them because playing a wind instrument definitely helped my lung capacity.
Sure.
But yeah, that scared the shit out of me when I was reading the first reports out of Italy, and they were talking about 30 somethings with a history of asthma succumbing to this disease. You know, it scared the stupid right out of me.
Yeah. Did you get your shots?
I haven't yet. No. I'm open to it. You know, obviously, if I'm vaping, I'm putting an unknown chemical into my body all the time. I have no leg to stand on there. I have no moral agenda against the vaccine or anything like that. It's just not something that I've actually gone and done.
Gotcha.
I don't want to go back to a bullshit 9 to 5 and being treated like my contribution to whomever I work for doesn't matter outside of the building, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a little worried that they're gonna view vaccinated people as, all right, worker B, just go back, you know? I believe we're more than our jobs. And what I meant by outside of the building that you work at is that, you know, you can have a boss looking at you saying that if I could have 100 of you, I would in a heartbeat, but it doesn't
Mm-hmm.
mean jack to his boss, you know?
Sure.
Um,
So I only work for
and
small businesses.
yeah, well, I mean, I'm kind of speaking about a small business in in
Oh.
my own personal history there. So it we want to idealize a lot of things about the people who are quote unquote job creators around us.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the day, they're still humans with their own moral compass and their own ideas of who and what is success. And the person that, if you're a business owner, that best presents themselves as a success to you is somebody that you're going to look at it as somebody worthy of your time moving up, you know?
So I guess for me, it's a little bit different because when I approach, like I've only ever worked directly under a business owner.
Mhm.
I won't enter into like a hierarchy of like different people because it always gets really weird. My boss will
Yes.
always be the owner of the business, or myself, as my boss is. I'm usually like self-employed. I do like a lot of computer stuff and things like that.
Real quick, smart rule of thumb. I want to commend you for that. That I've never heard somebody talk of this, but yeah, go ahead.
Oh, so like that's just not something I'm interested. I'm not interested in having like a manager or a supervisor because I don't
Yeah.
like the way like the chain of command works, and like I want to I basically want to get work on my own merit, and it gives me
Yeah.
all the negotiation too. I don't have to talk to a manager who's going to talk to a supervisor, talk to somebody else about me getting pay raises and things like that, and I'll
Amen.
always be entering the employment under terms that I already agreed with. So
That's a hella smart way to go about it, man. I I'm glad you've just shortcutted so much for me because I have actually been thinking about our relationships with employers and how easy it is, even if you're employed by a person you view as a friend, to be
mhm,
caught in the shuffle, you know.
yeah,
And it's nothing personal or anything like that. It's just incredibly easy to get lost in the mix when you're one of 2 dozen people under this person's, well, not even this person's direct purview, but under the person who they are the manager of, like a kitchen manager, so to
sure.
speak.
Yeah, and I'm totally completely done with restaurants. I won't work in a restaurant ever again. I don't want to be in a
Uh,
kitchen. I've managed a restaurant. I've managed 2 restaurants. One up north was really small, and one down here where like I managed a Burger King, and I will
mhm.
never ever
Yeah, man.
manage a fast food restaurant ever again. It is a nightmare. The work ethic is exactly what you would expect for minimum wage, and I
Hmm.
just can't. My ass can't be on the line. Like the pay is really good. Like I started off at like $13 an hour, and 2 months later I was going to be up to 15
Right.
for just managing a Burger King. It is super easy.
Hmm.
Because like I'm always on register anyway, so it's like super easy work. I get free meal. Then you get benefits and stuff if you're a manager, but the just like the level of craziness and like I just can't do it. Like I
Well, you're
can't be
dealing with a bunch of
responsible.
other people that, even if they're, let's say they're the stereotypical fast food worker, like whatever America thinks that is. It's a high school kid that's only working 20 hours a week. And then let's say, like your day is staffed by people that are just frustrated and have had
I agree.
enough and aren't paid enough. And I, I mean, if it's really simple math, like if you're standing there at the register and let's call it even numbers, like $5 for your combo,
Hmm.
and you just worked a lunch rush where you passed 100 customers an hour for 3 straight hours, 300 customers all paying $5 a head. You
Hmm.
don't see a fraction of that in your paycheck at the end of the week, at the end of the 40 hours you've put in. So what's your incentive to work even harder to make that business, what, to make that business more money for you to then in turn work harder to make even less for the amount of effort you've put in?
Well,
And I think the whole thing is just quite backward, and it's infuriating. And I would imagine that on the managerial level, being in charge of people who may not be fully aware of that but feel it, like just that
sure.
that amount of frustration and not able to communicate like I just did how wrong the situation is, like that's in a whole other set of problems. And like a dude making $15 an hour doesn't deserve to have to deal with those people's problems either. So the whole
So I
thing's
mean,
fucking backward.
I absolutely understand like the whole business ethics side at the same time too.
Yeah.
But it just and like and at the same time, I don't think anybody making minimum wage really is going to give a shit to begin with.
No.
But it's definitely like I definitely didn't work with anybody who like outwardly felt exploited. They just didn't want to do their
Hmm.
stuff. And if you don't
Right.
do your stuff, that like I get in trouble, and like I just can't be in that position.
Right.
There's a whole other like rabbit hole of like business ethics and like pay wages and things in America that I'll go into that. But just from like me being a manager, just like I can't manage people who have no interest in doing their jobs. It's just not for me.
Yeah, dude, I totally hear you there. And why would you want to? Especially if you've taken the time to think about it and you're like, well, I mean, aren't I the employee a key puzzle piece here in how I fit into whatever it is that this company wants to do? So why shouldn't I have my own terms that I can negotiate on? It's definitely a logical path that you followed, and actually, it sounds like you found happiness at work because of it.
Yeah, I like the stuff that I do. Um,
From the
like
outsider looking in, it sounds like you do.
like right now, The only thing I do is like I help out somebody, and I get like magic cards for helping out, like a magic card store.
That's beautiful. I love that
Um,
trade. I once had an attorney, and while he wasn't the best of attorneys, he had and I won't mention any names here. Um, he had a rather well-known southeastern Michigan independent dealer, a person,
mm-hmm.
as one of his clients, and rather than being paid in cash, he was being paid in tabernacles.
Oh, that's awesome.
I know, it was the greatest agreement. I was like, "You got this in writing and everything?" He's like, "Yeah,
He
I
gets
just don't know how to tell my boss."
he gets paid in gold, bro.
Yeah, I know.
Better
In
interest
gold,
rates.
yeah, that gold interest rates, absolutely, yes.
That's insane. Pay me
Yeah,
in
it was.
tabernacles always, please.
Yeah, I would never ever recommend anybody go to this attorney. In fact, what he did to me is worthy of being disbarred, and there's a whole that yeah, that I've never been in legal trouble. I've been involved in a court case that was family court and remarkably messed up. But yeah, this attorney in particular,
Mm-hmm.
that accepted tabernacles, I would never ever recommend to anybody. But it's a funny story.
Sorry, I was chewing my food.
Oh, you're quite all right, man. We're
So,
humans, we gotta get it.
so, actually, you know what? I'm going to. I don't need to put. There you are. Pull up. I'm gonna quickly just go ahead and look at. Yeah, there we go. The thing that I responded to you on. Okay.
Yeah, the meme. It's
So,
the pretty standard.
yep.
I forget the character's name. Wimby's the
Yeah,
cops kid.
Ralph.
Jeez.
Ralph Wiggum.
Thank you,
The
Ralph
best,
Wiggum.
the
Thank
best
you.
Simpsons character by a landslide. Nobody touches the amazement of like Ralph Wiggum. He is the best. He's all the best lines. He's incredible.
Yes, he is the Peppa Pig of the whole series.
I fucking love Ralph so much. And like I don't care that much about any Simpsons character other than Ralph. Everybody else has their moments, but Ralph shines every time he's on the fucking screen. I swear.
Yes, he does. Yeah.
So, yeah. Now, keep in mind everything that like when I bring up anything, I'm always going to be talking about things from my moral standpoint. And I know that when you and I talked a little bit, it seems like you and I might have a different definition we're operating on when we talk about morality. So I want to define what I mean when I say morality. A morality is simply the system of beliefs that a person has that they use to operate on. Now, if they follow them, I would say they're principled beliefs. But that doesn't matter. Like your morality, everybody has a moral system because we literally couldn't function without one.
Right.
So like part of your moral system is like some like really fundamental like so they say like your morals and ethics like so like part of these things are just like accepting that you exist, you know, and they extend out for as far as like what we ought to and ought not to do. And so that's always how I'm going to be approaching these things. So, like, whether we want to talk about whether it was legal for Kyle to have gone there across state lines with a firearm, these things don't so much matter to me. Or if, like, the fact that he's 17 makes it not legal, whatever. This isn't as much interesting to me as, like, basically any argument that could be launched against Kyle should be able to be launched against, like, morally speaking, should be able to be launched against, like, an 18-year-old who lived there. Well, not necessarily who lived there, because we can talk about whether or not it's okay to go and defend somebody else's property where you don't live. That can be a whole thing, but like, these are kind of things that I'm trying to remove without the legality argument. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So basically, I'm saying it should always be wrong for what Kyle did, no matter who Kyle was, right?
Yeah. Okay. And yes, I can definitely agree with that statement. And
okay, that's where I thought you were coming from.
Totally, and it would be wrong. Like, my aunt was commenting on the
Yeah, I saw
the meme in question, right? So, and so, rather than a crazy uncle, I've got a crazy aunt, and I know for a fact that if Kyle Rittenhouse was a black man, she would be screaming from the top of the hills, "Murderer!"
Sure.
If he if he were one of the people running out of Target in Minneapolis, while looting the place during the the protests last summer, if he were one of them, she would be screaming for his head. So I feel that it's wrong, first and foremost, for any 17-year-old to go to a protest with a firearm. And
Sure.
whether it's an arbitrary number or not, our society has dictated that you are not an adult until you're 18.
So, would you say that it's also morally wrong for an 18-year-old to? Because like, I mean, I don't care about society's morals. Like you and I can decide whether like there is like a number that matters there.
Okay.
Because obviously,
Well,
we don't look at society's rules as like how we guide our morals. Like obviously, you take a ton of issue with society. Like, and we just talking about like how we engage with the workplace. So like, you wouldn't normally use society as your baseline of like what's right and wrong, right?
no, you're right there. That
Okay.
accepted norms. One of the things that I wanted to actually mention about workplace accepted norms was a point I had made about other accepted norms to my girlfriend the other night, and it's that the older generation seems to want us to accept things that are just because they are, without realizing that the adults make the rules.
Sure.
And so we need to be the adults in the room and define the rules that work for everybody.
Yeah. So
We don't just
Okay.
have to accept things because it's a societal norm, is what I'm saying.
yeah.
So you're right. Yeah, and you're right in that I normally would not use societal norms as a basis for an argument.
So it seems a little weird that
it's
you do
harder,
it here, but also I will say I agree with you. I think that tradition is not the basis to do anything. My thinking on it can always be summed up in all the rules are made up. Everybody who made the rules are dead. We
Mhm.
should be allowed to make our own rules.
Sure. Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
um,
And my I have a lot of problems though with a teenager, and I would have a lot. All right, I got a lot of problems with people going to the Michigan Capitol with firearms during a protest. I got a lot of problems with firearms at protests, first and
Sure.
foremost. Um, is a militant something somebody wants to be LARPing? And if so, why? And I
So-
think that these questions are important to the Kyle Rittenhouse story, because here we have a teenager, and I'm not certain if he had just graduated high school, was about to enter his senior year of high school, whatever it was, whether he's fresh off of schooling or just about to end it, it plays into the fact that this is a person going into his government building every single day a few months before this and living out his normal daily life. He never went to that government place. I mean, and now we have these free speech zones that protests are supposed to happen in, right? It's
Yeah,
a
I don't agree with that either.
government accepted zone. Right. So what's the difference between that government zone that he entered with a firearm and the school that he never entered with a firearm?
well,
Like the kid was so close to being a school shooter. It blows my mind that it happened at a protest.
There's a lot to what you just said that I have to unpack.
Mhm.
A lot. So like, first I want to say, like, I want to make sure that we clarify. So you're saying that it's wrong for anybody to go to a protest armed, correct?
Yes.
So, I think, at least to me, looking at like his prior Facebook posts and things like this before it happened, and I'm only going to ever use anything that happened prior, because things that happened to Kyle afterwards, like, I'm sure he's fully radicalized now, and how could he
Sure.
not?
Yeah, totally.
Like we could agree that even if he was the most, if you granted him everything and said that he was the most innocent of intentions every step along the way, after you get bailed out by hardcore conservatives and you become a champion of hardcore conservatives and they start giving you all this attention, you're helpless to become radicalized at that point, right?
It's my belief that he was radicalized prior, and that the radicalization that Kyle Rittenhouse went through, he was complicit in it.
Sure, I understand that's your position, but I'm saying that can you grant me that even if he wasn't, because I'm just trying to make sure that we don't use anything that like happens after the fact, because even if he wasn't, like, he was absolutely have to be, like, if anybody was put in his shoes with the best of intentions ever, you have to be radicalized after like getting all this money, press, and attention from this one side. Okay, cool.
And
so
no, and I actually wanted to say that I pulled up quite a few notes about him from prior to the shooting.
Yeah.
And the reason that I take such issue with Kyle Rittenhouse is that I was raised by LEOs, law enforcement officers.
Sure.
My mom was a federal agent. She worked for U.S. Customs when it was part of the Treasury and
Sure.
was then part of the restructuring under Department of Homeland Security. My father was a civilian retiree from the Department of Defense.
So
Like,
my grandpa was an Inkster police officer. I don't know if you know anything about Inkster.
yes,
Not a great
oh,
area.
yes. No,
So
it's hard.
he was a police officer when the plane crashed on the freeway too.
Oh God, all right. Well, my parents worked at Selfridge, and one of my mother's earliest duties was to guard the remains of airshow crashes. So I remember being very young and hearing that my mother was working overtime because of a plane crash. So yeah, totally, dude. And no, they don't do an easy job. And I'm so frustrated with this entire issue because, like, the reason I mentioned he's so close to being a school shooter is because, like, I don't know what his school life was like. I won't pretend to know. However, he's a teenager, and we typically have this idea of teenagers going to school, right? So you just change the setting, and it's a completely different tragedy.
Well, sure, but you change the setting and you change everything.
Everything, absolutely.
So
and I'm getting somewhere with this. Somewhere with this. And it's the same bone I have to pick every time that there is a school shooting. I was a bullied kid, extensively bullied, who had access to firearms in his youth.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I know my experience is not everybody else's experience.
Mm-hmm.
I am frustrated, though, that this kid who was a youth cadet, who pretended to be not only deputized during the protest, but also pretended to be an EMT during the same protest, according to eyewitness accounts. This guy went out to actually LARP a cop or an EMT with his gun. And I never, in my wildest dreams of being bullied, thought of taking a gun anywhere with me.
Okay.
Anywhere. And I know I am different, and I'm not going to put anybody else up to my own moral standard. It's just hard for me to get behind a child soldier who thinks he's the Punisher, you know?
So hang on. So I can't. I have a really hard time assigning certain attributes to things that I can't justify. So this is what I do know. I know that Kyle has shown that he cares about public property. Prior to the events, he was shown like cleaning up graffiti in his local area, and so this is what I know. That he was somebody who does care about public property. He knew that there was going to be, in his mind, the potential for there to be destruction of public property.
Hold on. Am I mistaken in my understanding that the cleaning up of that graffiti was court ordered as community service for his prior involvement in an assault of another teenager? Because I've seen the video of the incident. It certainly looks like Kyle Rittenhouse assaulted a young woman, and then he's supposed to have had community service and have cleaned up the graffiti as a result of that community service.
I've never heard that. Let me see. I've heard a lot about the like Kyle, but I've never heard that it was court ordered. Let me see. Yeah, I don't see anything on that when I'm looking it up. It just looks like him and a group of other people. Yeah, like these people look like they're doing this stuff. And so like he's like I was saying, he has had a history of like doing community work is basically what I'm getting at. And now, before I go on to justify my next point, do you think that it's reasonable that somebody might want to defend public property that's not theirs? Because if you don't think so, I could probably give you a good example. And now keep in mind too, when I make a point, I'm not going to extrapolate it any further than I will like explain to you like what I'm extrapolating. You don't have to draw conclusions because I know it's really easy to think that I might be going somewhere, but I'll build my case to everything. So just in the idea, like, do you think it's okay? So do you think that it's okay for somebody to defend property, to protect property that's not theirs? Not defend, protect.
I don't believe that the exchange of living, breathing thing, animal, human, whatever. I do not believe that the exchange of that life
Well, wait,
is
we're not
worth
there
the
yet.
value of any. I think we are. I don't think the exchange of any life or the danger of losing your life is worth any property on this planet.
Okay.
There is no property on this planet that is worth taking a life, animal, human, whatever for.
So
I also have a
I do
problem
have
with
I
cutting the
do have
fucking
something for that.
grass.
I do have something for that, but first I just want to establish that like we do think that it's okay for somebody to protect like property that they doesn't belong to them.
I
We can
do
talk
not
about.
believe in violence to protect property.
Well, hang on, I haven't gotten there yet. I'm gonna. There's a couple steps we have to get to that point. So I just want to make sure before.
But those same cops that raised me always taught me that a life cannot be replaced.
Sure.
Property and things can be.
Yeah,
And
I'm not
they
asking
always
you if
taught me
people can
that
kill for
when they were
property
talking
yet.
about drawing their guns. They were
I'm
talking about having to draw a weapon on another human life.
Yeah, I'm not.
And so it's people that are ascribed that duty to have to think to take another life in a moment that taught
Buddy, I'm not
me-
talking about killing people right now.
We are though.
I'm not.
We
I'm
very
not.
much
I'm not.
are.
No, no.
But
I'm just asking if it's
I
okay for
cannot
somebody to,
get-
in any capacity, protect somebody's property. I'm not talking about Kyle right now. I'm just trying to establish a moral foundation which we can build up on, and because I'm trying to figure out where we end up splitting off at here. So,
Then
but
let
in
me
order to get there, I
simplify.
have to ask if it's okay. So, is it okay for me to, if somebody's car is rolling down a hill? And there's no people around, but I know that the car and whatever it might run into will be damaged. Is it okay for me to jump in that car and try to stop it? Because I'm concerned about other people's property. It's not. Why not?
Because number one, you don't know the entirety of the situation as to why that car is rolling, right?
There's
if
nobody
the-
in it. It's rolling backwards in the car. In the driver's door is open.
Okay, and so you are just putting yourself needlessly at risk for whatever fault had caused that car to go off on its own, and you've made that your own. You've made a problem your own. Whereas
I don't have the
people
right to
can
do
see
that.
that car. I don't.
I mean, so
I mean,
like,
if you wish to risk your life,
it
by
feels
all
like you're
means. I
arguing
mean,
for
I can-
intervening on anything. Then really, if I can't make a problem my own in order to resolve a problem, then like I probably can't intervene in any situation ever to solve a problem that's not already mine, right?
I have a problem with the fact that this all revolves around property.
Okay, so
I'm
we can
not- I'm
Yeah, okay.
not one to defend property. That's the problem I have, is that I don't care about somebody else's car.
So
I'm
then let's-
sorry, but your car doesn't.
But am I
it's
allowed to
not
care about
alike.
your car?
I mean, if that's how you feel, I'm not going to. I'm not going to stop. You
Okay,
or tell you,
cool.
I
I'm
would be
saying
like,
I'd
"Dude,
be.
Why did my friend just potentially put themselves in lethal danger in order to protect something that has no effect on them?
Well, because
That's what I
you're
would
my
wanna-
friend, and I care about you, and I don't want you to lose your car, and I feel like I had the means to take care of it, so I did.
But again, let's go back to the example. We've got an empty car rolling down an empty street. Nobody's in danger.
Yeah, but I do care about property. So like, let's break down what property actually is. Property is generally something. So like, when I think about my stuff that I've worked really hard for, like my computer cost $3,000. I never would have thought in my life I would ever be at a point where I'd have that. Or like, let's take my wife's Magic deck. My wife has a $5,200 legacy deck.
Sure.
That legacy deck represents a large portion of my life that I had to work to get for that. So like, this property isn't just like a thing. This is literally hundreds of hours of my life that I've had to give up to do it. So
Okay.
this like things like people's personal properties equals like literally parts of their life. This is my time. This
that's
is
no
my
different
labor that
than-
I've had to give away.
Is that any different than a few 100-hour-old save file for a video game?
No, and I would argue that if somebody deletes your save file, that's a crime. I would argue that they stole from you.
All right.
That
so
they
let me
have
give
harmed you.
Let me give you an example from my history. And
Sure.
we're going to talk about intellectual property here.
Well, intellectual
I
property
was-
is a little bit different, but go ahead.
Oh, well, we're talking about a save file, though.
Sure, but it's just not something you can get back. Intellectual property you can still have.
I beg to differ.
I would say that a save file is a physical property that you have. It may
I
be
would say
digital,
that
but it's not intellectual.
But recorded music is no different. It is a save file.
Recorded music you can get back at least.
Not always.
Oh, like
And
if you
can't
record
always
if you recorded it
how it's
yourself?
recorded.
You're saying if you recorded it
I'm-
yourself, or like if we're talking about like a
actually
burned
trying to give you
CD?
the example from
Okay.
my own life. So
Sure.
I was part of a group. Friend of mine was approached by Kimberly Kane from Vivid Alt. Yes, the
Mhm.
porn star. Um, and he was making music under the pseudonym Sand and Water. So one of his pieces that he had up on MySpace, yes, this is how long ago this was.
Sure.
One of his pieces that he had up on MySpace was used by Miss Kane in one of her films, and she said that she would like to pursue more work with him. So she
Mhm.
got back with him and said, "All right, we're gonna do this spaghetti western style film, and it's gonna be set in space. Do you think you guys
Sure.
could do a spaghetti western in space soundtrack?" And I'm like, holy shit, dude, this sounds like heaven. Like, oh my god. And so they wanted was just some like scratch tracks from us.
Sure.
For those not know, scratch tracks are just literally things you can record and just scratch them off the record later. You're just trying to get your ideas down. And the whole idea was that these scratch tracks would be sent to Vivid and they would listen, and then we would be flown out to LA where we would work in an actual studio, have a gear budget. We would be professional fucking musicians. This
Sure.
is like a dream. I'm 20 years old. So we start
So
working with
what
a
was the
guitar player.
agreement?
The agreement is we're all just going to jam. We're going to make this crazy ass music, and we're going to see if Kimberly Kane wants it and to put it in this "Live in My Dreams" Vivid Alt film.
Okay, so just to be clear,
So
to see if she likes it, this is you like basically auditioning, right?
no, we're not even auditioning. My buddy put together a group of musicians. He's like, "You're the guys I want to roll with."
Okay.
Cool. All right, cool. So we go to another friend's house. This friend is runs a recording studio now here in Port Huron called Schwank Soundstead, Brendan.
Mhm.
So we go to Brendan. We're like, "Brendan, please record this. We're just gonna jam." So we do. So Chris, the guy who got us all together, who was in contact with Kimberly Kane, he sends the scratch tracks to her. She's like, "I love everything, but this guitarist is making it all about him. I want less guitar, more everything else."
Sure.
Dude gets pissed,
Sure.
fucking furious. He deletes everything we've been working on. And so at this time, we'd been working for a couple of more weeks on trying to get him to tone it down, and he's getting progressively more and more angry until the point where he deleted all of our work, and we were trying to rework all of these things. So we had to go back to this professional producer and say, "Look, this prima donna threw a fit, and we don't have anything else for you." So guess what we lost?
The
Chance
job.
to do this soundtrack.
Yeah, sure.
She worked with somebody else. And so I didn't want to cause any harm to Will for destroying what we had worked on. I shouldn't have named him. I didn't want to cause him any harm or do anything. I didn't wish him any ill will or anything
Mhm.
like that. Like it just simply was him behaving in a manner that was not conducive to being an adult.
Sure.
And there was no way we were ever going to be able to go forward with that project with him
Mhm.
from the start because of just who he was. But my point is that property that did amount to an entire summer's worth of work, that did amount to the realization of the dream I'd had since I was a child, being a professional musician. I can't even, dude, just take it all from me. Please, just take it all from me. Free me of these stupid chains of possessions. Because
But does
all I really... What?
Go ahead. Go. It just
No,
seems.
because
It
all
seems
I
like
really
what you're.
want is just for people to get along and to stop killing each other.
Sure, but
And
so
if it
here's the
takes me
thing.
giving away every earthly possession, by all means, come fucking take them.
Yeah, but do you think everybody should have to lose everything?
No. That's not even
Okay.
the point, Jamie.
I'm
My point
just.
is that
Hey.
I value possessions so little that, like, for Christ's sake, if it makes you happier, please. Like,
Am I
don't
allowed to value
want
my
them.
stuff?
Sure, totally, dude, because that's for you. But I would have a problem if you ever wanted to take your own life or
Sure.
another's in the protection of that property.
So then let's
Then it
talk
would
about
be-
that.
That would hurt. I wouldn't be able to have this conversation with somebody I respect, you know? If you wanted to jump in that car and stop it and, you know, I've had a friend rolled over by a train from hopping trains, you know? Accidents happen. And so even in that example, like, it's like, I could lose more than just a car. I could lose a friend, even in that rolling down the car example. And
Sure.
that is something I don't want to lose. Not
So-
the property.
So let me ask you this then. If we can't use violence to protect our stuff, right? That's what you're saying, right? You're
I'm
saying
not
full
saying anybody
stop.
can't do anything. I don't use violence to protect
So,
anything.
so I'm saying your moral prescription here is that nobody should use violence to protect property ever, right?
Yeah.
Is that my understanding? Okay.
Yes.
So under that, my big issue with that is then that if there's somebody who's if there's somebody who wants to come in my house and take all of my stuff, I just have to let them. Like, what is my motivation to do anything to further myself? Like, because we can talk about how much we don't like a system that makes us feel this and all this other stuff, but the
Is not that
fact of the matter
motivation
is,
supposed to be internal? Is
But
not
w-
that motivation supposed to be internal?
wait, what do you mean?
So
Motivation for what?
motivation to go out and do. Because if your motivation to go out to work is to get more possessions that you want to protect, why have you not motivated your, like, because my point is that, like, if you don't actually go out and work because you want to work, why are you working?
Well, so okay, so here's the thing. It seems like your argument stems from a lot of like, I don't agree with the system, so why participate in the system? But here's the thing, like, the reality of the situation is like that we are in this system. So while operating within the system that exists, why am I not allowed to protect my stuff?
I didn't say you weren't allowed to protect your stuff.
Okay, so
I'm
to
saying
what
that
degree am
would
I
not
allowed
take-
to? Well, because what we're saying,
That is a
Kyle
decision
can't
for
protect
you to-
property, right? So
Dude,
that would mean that well, so you said that there's okay. I'm sorry. So you're saying that some people are allowed to protect property
No,
with lethal
no.
force?
No.
Okay,
I'm
so in that,
saying that there is no justification for lethal force ever.
So-
I'm saying that I, as a human being, I personally,
Mhm.
J.R. Brown, the man that you are talking to, am a pacifist.
sure.
So
and you're also saying
I
that
might play video games with violence or whatever, but I do not physically harm other people.
sure, me neither.
Just my voice might emotionally harm people. I don't know. But I can't control
the whole
that.
R words violence is a whole nother conversation. But no, so okay.
Sure.
So basically your statement is that you could never use lethal force to defend property, right?
I'm not going to use violence. Is
Sure.
my
So
point.
but
And
what's your
I'm sick of
prescription is that
watching the
other people
world.
couldn't, right? Can't, correct?
I'm not, Jamie. The thing that you don't seem to grasp here is that I'm not trying to tell anybody else to live their life.
Okay, so then why was Kyle not allowed to defend property? You said he wasn't allowed to. What makes him special?
I've never said he was special.
Well,
think that
I guess
he's a
I guess I'm
murderer
just getting
who murdered
confused.
people.
Well, I can
Well,
argue that it was
my
go ahead.
entire argument there is off the table for this discussion because it's illegal for a minor to be in
Well,
possession of a weapon in
Wait,
Wisconsin.
wait. I thought we weren't gonna do laws.
That's
is
exactly
moral.
why I just said my reason is off limits for this
Oh,
conversation.
So then you have no moral argument against him defending it, then, right?
I have a moral argument with him being a radicalized child soldier and
But wait.
the political spectrum of this country, half of it propping him and his mother up as folk heroes.
That's not. That wasn't my
I believe,
question.
is the moral problem. I understand that's not your question. However, what I'm trying to give you is the answer that the answer to the morality question that I see here. Because the morality question is not whether or not this man has a gun, because I don't believe any person should have a gun. I don't support the Second Amendment. I don't support violence. What
Yeah.
I'm trying to say to you is I'm not going to prescribe special circumstances to anybody. I don't believe in violence when it was my biological father beating the shit out of my mother, or if it's Kyle Rittenhouse killing people, dude.
Okay, so
Like,
hang on.
I, as a human being, am coming from a place, and I'm trying to tell you I've come from this place that has shown me that all violence is wrong.
So
My adopted dad telling me he burnt piles of fucking gooks that he shot with a 50 cal disturbed me. That level of description of violence
Ooh, hey,
disturbed
we
me.
can't use slurs on the stream. I could get booted.
Oh shoot! I'm sorry.
It's okay.
No. I literally flashed back to my dad telling me
Yeah.
these things with those words, and I'm very
I
sorry
understand.
to have offended anybody. You know, like I'm very.
I don't
sorry.
think all of my 3 viewers will say anything about it. Sometimes I tend to get a lot more hits on YouTube. I don't think one time is gonna like be anything detrimental. I just want to touch on it. But hang on.
Well, no.
So like,
there is a very deep level of racism that I was raised around. That I just did this without even thinking twice, and have to retract. You know, like I feel like a piece of shit for having used that word, and I literally, yep, I said it. Holy fuck. So
It's okay,
I'm
buddy.
sorry.
So I guess it's really important to me so that I have a really weird brain. Like I have OCD and I have ADHD and stuff, and I have a really weird way of how I have to like process ideas and stuff. So like it's just hard for me to understand certain, like I can't move past certain things in my head to try to get to understand where you're coming from unless I have certain questions
Okay.
answered. And this causes problems between, not just like when I'm having conversation like this, but like between me and my boss, sometimes between me and my wife.
Totally.
I just
Totally.
yeah, I get caught up on certain things that I have to understand so that everything else makes sense.
Hey man, this is your
So
place. Please, by all means, ask away.
so the one of the important questions that I need to understand is that, so you're saying, I understand JR says no violence for him, but I'm asking you, is it okay for other people to defend their property with violence escalating up to lethal force if that would be what it took? And then if not, I have a scenario which I would like to ask if you of you is okay.
All right.
'Cause this is super important for me to understand, like your entire argument,
My
outside
entire
of your
argument
personal. Yeah.
is that I don't believe in using violence to solve problems.
Well, so how would you
Point
solve
blank.
somebody? How should?
How would you
so,
solve the Hitler problem? Right.
No, no, not Hitler. I'm asking, how would I solve somebody stealing my stuff? If the prescription is to not use violence, because let's say I want to use JR's moral system. Because let's say I think you're right. I want to use your system to
Okay,
guide
I
my
got
life.
you.
So how would I stop somebody from robbing me of all the stuff that basically amounts to like my entire
I'm
life's
never
work?
going to stop somebody robbing me. Ever.
So I shouldn't either.
I'm not saying
Right?
that you shouldn't. You're saying that you want to follow what I would do. Am I correct?
Yeah.
there?
If I'm yeah. So if I'm
So,
following
if you're trying
JR's
to
moral
follow-
system.
If you're trying to follow what I would do, then don't. I mean, dude, I have talked down a mugging before. I didn't have anything on me for them to take from me. I was drunk as hell. But I was like, dude, I'm sorry. I don't have anything to give you. I mean, we're walking to my apartment. Can I give you some food when we get there? And eventually the dude just walked away, right? I didn't get
Sure.
stabbed. I didn't get shot. I'm not saying that every criminal is going to be like that one.
No, I'm not concerned about getting stabbed or shot. I'm concerned about somebody taking away basically what is like the accumulation of all my life's work. Like my magic cards, my computer. These are the things that
Then
these are the
guess
things
would
that I
have
use to bring me joy.
To you, we can replace all those things, bro.
Yeah, but I
Can't replace your life.
so I
And so
so I
to
just
put
have to.
yourself-
I should infinitely let people steal from me based on this system forever.
I'm not telling you to let people steal from you. I'm saying don't respond to their aggression with your own aggression. Don't put yourself in harm's way that potentially removes you from the valuable opinions that I've surrounded myself with.
So I guess I have a hard
understand?
time seeing a good, an effective way to stop this from happening repeatedly. You said these things can be replaced, but then they could also just keep taken again since I'm not allowed to like
So, I
physically
mean, I
stop
guess-
them.
I mean, I guess, isn't this the same question of why do we put locks on doors if locks don't deter somebody who wants to kick a door in?
No, they deter
know?
them, but it doesn't stop it from happening. So that's what I'm saying. Like, which
Right.
is why there's
You
other
cannot
escalation
stop it
methods.
from happening.
But I
Talk to
can,
this person.
like,
treat
vi-
them like a human being. Don't treat them like
But now you're asking me to put my
something.
life on the line too. Like, if
No.
somebody's willing to break into my house.
No. I'm saying that you're putting your life on the line more by responding to their aggression with your own aggression than
That's-
you would be by being passive with them.
So I think that. So. I guess I'm still a little bit confused. So like basically that. I guess this is what I need answered. So should I unlimitedly let people steal from me forever, rather than defend any of my property?
What's the societal recourse for theft?
I mean jail time, but that doesn't matter to me. That doesn't stop my stuff from getting taken. This happens after it's gone.
There's no way to stop your stuff from being taken if somebody wants to take it, man.
Well, if somebody walks in my door and I blow their fucking head off, I get to keep my stuff. Right?
For
Like
how long, though? Because, I mean, you might not
until
want
the
to
next
talk
guy
about...
comes to do it?
That's not true. You might not want to talk about the legal ramifications or the law because that doesn't interest you, but that would also have gears that kick into place in that event. Let's say somebody breaking into your house, you blowing their head off. This is not a castle doctrine state, Jamie.
Well, sure.
I'd
Let's say
lose
that
a
it is,
friend to the
though.
prison system rather than losing one to somebody taking their life. So how is your aggression solving the issue if you're going to prison after the fact and you're just as gone to me as you would be
Okay, this is this.
if you were literally gone?
I mean, this is a pivot from my point. My point is that like
It's not, though.
it
Because
is.
like we can't deal with strict hypotheticals because reality is not hypothetical.
But I'm talking about the morality of the situation.
But the morality isn't what these events are judged upon when it's time to say we need to either remove this person from our society or we can continue to allow them to exist within our society.
Yeah, that's up to courts. That's up for all the courts to decide all the specific circumstances.
The morality of an
you and I
individual's
can't
decision.
discuss whether or not it would be legal or illegal because the specific circumstances would be determined by a court. We're not judges and we're not a jury, so we don't get to determine whether or not it would be okay or not.
Definitely can, because laws are posted online for anybody to read. This is
but
public information.
judges and juries' jobs is to interpret the laws.
Sure, we don't know how they're going to interpret it.
Correct, which is why I don't think it's very interesting to go over these sorts of things because, like, it's just only something that we can guess at. We can't apply like some sort of system that we have for ourselves to it to examine it.
But with these morality exercises, we're strictly dealing with hypotheticals. We're dealing with situations that only exist because they can only exist as mock-up situations. Thus,
the reason
really
why we
weigh
do
on
these,
them
we do the morality thing so that we know how we ought to behave should the situation arise.
It is my belief then that if the situation arises, somebody's gonna steal your shit if they want to, dude. It's just gonna happen. I don't want you to blow their face off because they wanted to steal something. I don't think the theft of anything necessitates taking a life. I don't
It's really hard to have a conversation if I can't use any hypotheticals to try to figure out what I ought to do or ought not to do, because like nobody's breaking into my house right now.
Yes, and I would hope that you're not going to blow this person away for breaking into your house.
I mean, I have to. So to be fair, I'm concerned about my own life. I'm concerned about my wife's life. I'm concerned about everybody in my house's life. My kids here. Like, I don't know what this person's intent is. I know that they're.
I understand all of that. As if I do not have children around that I wish to protect. And
I do think that when somebody forcefully enters your home, they are automatically on notice. They automatically know that they are incurring a risk of being met with lethal force. They are acknowledging and meeting that by entering somebody's home without permission. It's not like they're in some country where like guns aren't super common and stuff. People know that there is a chance they will meet a homeowner with a gun who is willing to defend their stuff. Is that fair?
I mean, they exist, sure.
So it's not as though like they're just gonna go in and just think like, hey, maybe they'll just think like, I shouldn't be expected for one to assume to know their intent and respond only based on knowing their intent. I can't be like, hey, are you here to kill my family or like what? You know what I mean? They're violating a lot of stuff here. They're violating my home. They're violating like my ability to assess their intent. But I still think too that so the problem is that if I can't respond to somebody, like I guess, like they could literally kill me. If somebody can repeatedly rob me because I can't defend my stuff, like they can continuously take my money and my stuff, I can't feed myself.
That you cannot.
You're telling me that I should not. You're telling me that I should not. Well, then I'm asking you, okay, so it's not just me. So everybody but JR should do what they feel comfortable doing is what you're saying? When it comes to defending their property?
I'm saying that I can't control other people.
I'm not asking you about controlling. I'm saying what ought they do? And before you told me you ought to let the person steal from you. Correct?
I would not characterize my statement as that, but I mean, if they're going to steal from you, you cannot stop that. Like, What I'm saying
What does
is
you
that
cannot
if somebody
stop that
wants something
mean?
bad enough. What?
What does you cannot stop that mean? Because I gave you an example where you could shoot
You're
somebody
gonna
and stop them.
somebody if you just described that in this country, people do break-ins all of the time, knowing full well that the homeowner could be armed.
Yeah.
My point is that if a person with a gun doesn't stop you and a lock doesn't stop you,
Wait. Who said the person with the gun didn't stop you? Oh, the
because
idea of them?
people
But if the
commit these crimes all the time, breaking and entering.
sure. So
So if the idea that there is a chance that the homeowner of the place that you're going to rob has a gun doesn't deter you from committing that crime, I don't think anything is going to stop you.
but I mean, an actual bullet inside of you will stop you.
I'm not judge, jury, executioner of anything, dude.
No,
I
but
am not God, and I am not here to take lives. So I'm not going to do something that is going to willingly take another or potentially take another life. Well, I guess I drive every day, so I that's a little harder to say.
no.
But
So this is
point
what I'm
is
getting
that-
confusing. You switch between like when I'm asking what ought people do, and then you'll switch to like I won't, and I'm trying to. It's really confusing me to figure out
Because
what the prescription
people
is
need
for
to-
all of society,
I
and
don't
just
have
what
a
you're personally.
prescription. I'm not here to prescribe to people.
Well, you're saying Kyle Rittenhouse ought to not have protected this property or attempted to protect
He
property.
didn't protect any property.
No.
He fucking killed a dude with
Okay.
a skateboard. He had
So
a
hang on.
gun.
Hang on. I'm saying you said that it was wrong for him to show up. Like my understanding is that you were saying that it was wrong for him to show up to begin with to protect property. So you are making prescriptions about other people, right?
I guess I don't see how you're making that jump.
Okay. So
I'm
is
saying
it
that because
immoral
the
for
law-
him?
No. Let me explain. Because I'm saying that the law defines that his age, no gun unless you're hunting with family. Okay? That's where I'm getting my statement.
Okay.
He
So
was not hunting
everything
with family.
everything
My
changes if he's
point-
a year older, then, right?
Then he's legally in possession of that firearm, and then it's a whole different slew
Okay,
of circumstances when it goes to trial.
No, I don't care
So-
about the trial, buddy. I'm asking you morally. So you like I understand the legality of all this stuff is different, but when you're saying I'm having a moral argument, and then you said at 17 he's not. So I'm saying so then does the moral argument change if he's 18? Not legal. I don't care about what the courts
He's still
decide.
a murderer regardless of his age. He
That's
should
not
be.
what I
In
asked
my
you.
belief, yes, it is.
No, it's not.
He
I'm
is
asking.
Still, is murder wrong, Jamie?
Sure, murder's wrong, but I could argue that he was acting in self-defense. I don't know if you'll agree with that.
Because a skateboard met with lethal force
So-
is an equitable trade.
No,
Sure.
here's the thing. If
Because
I'm
a
Brand,
fucking
hang on.
plastic bag being thrown at him is
No, that's not.
equitable for
You're
the
not.
use of lethal
You're assuming my argument. That's not my argument. My
I'm not
argument is that
assuming
if,
anything. There is no self-defense here.
Okay,
He
can
has
I-
no right being there.
okay, see, like you said,
He's not from Wisconsin.
you're
He's from
mixing
Illinois.
you're
He's
mixing
crossed
legal and
the
moral
line.
arguments every which way we go. Like it's really hard to have this like cohesive
Unfortunately,
conversation.
Jamie, this is a legal issue, not a moral issue. So I
I'm
was a
talking
little-
about the morality of it, and that's why I wanted to clarify in the beginning.
His actions lack morality, which confuses me as to why you would want to
That doesn't-
talk about
that
morality.
doesn't mean
when there's
anything.
A person,
No. His actions. There's no such thing as no morality. His actions are at opposed with your moral system. He has moral reasons for doing what he's doing. They might not be what you see as good morals, but there's still
So to
morality
you-
happening.
so okay.
Morality is a system of
Let's
ideas and
walk back.
beliefs.
Let's walk back.
Yeah.
Is murder wrong? Your statement is that yes, murder is wrong.
Yeah, because murder is.
However,
But wait,
you've
what do we mean
gone
by
on to
murder?
say,
Is
it
all
sounds
killing
like,
murder?
is it depends on the circumstance.
What? There's
What
a
it
difference
actually sounds
between
like you said is it depends on
murder
the
and killing.
circumstance.
Well, there's a difference between murder and killing.
There's not. No.
Murder,
You
yes,
take
there is.
another
Murder
word.
is the unlawful, premeditated killing of another human being by another.
My dad went to war and killed people. He murdered them.
Okay, so then we have different definitions. My definition would be very much the dictionary definition of murder. Yours is synonymous with
But
killing.
here's the problem I think that you're not understanding is that you're trying to tell a pacifist, somebody who doesn't want any human being to commit acts of violence, that there is an entire umbrella where violence is necessary. I don't think you're getting the actual breadth.
So is it not okay to kill somebody to stop them from killing somebody you care about? If you're saying there's never like an excuse for violence ever, right?
There's never an excuse for violence ever.
Okay, so what do you do if you have a gun in your hand and you can kill the person attempting to kill your entire family? Do you kill them?
Why do I have a gun in my hand? That doesn't make sense, Jamie. I'm
Okay.
a pacifist. I will not hold a weapon.
Okay, so then you just submit to letting them kill your family and you, right? If there's a gun in front of you and you can use it to stop the person from killing you and your family, you have to just let them do it, right?
I'm not going to harm another human being.
So that you,
So I
by
guess
your
so.
system, you have to
Sure,
let
why
them.
not?
Okay.
If that's what you want me to say, there you go.
Well, I have
Yes,
to
let them
understand where
kill
you're
me.
coming from. Okay.
I don't give a fuck about possessions. I don't.
I
give a
didn't say
fuck
anything about
Other
possessions.
people's moral codes, dude. I care that people aren't harming other people.
But somebody is about to harm somebody in this scenario. They're about to harm you and your entire family.
I would like to talk to that individual.
Yeah, well,
And
what if they're
that
not having
doesn't-
it?
Then I guess I'm getting blown away. Come
And
to
your
my
whole
funeral.
family?
Come to our funeral.
Okay.
I'm not going to enact violence upon another. It's
Yeah,
just not in my code.
I guess we have just like diametrically opposing views because there's no way I would value another person's life more than like the life of my entire family. There would never be a scenario where I would say it's okay for you to kill me and my entire
Would you ever
family.
value their life as much as you value your family's? Because to me, that's good enough. It's not a more or less. It's an as much. Every human being is as much as me, in my opinion.
No, because I'm a human being. I have I mean, don't get me wrong. I would not like to see anybody killed ever. If I could just choose, like, say, hey, should we kill people? Probably not. In most cases, no. There are certain situations where I think that it's the best solution. Sure.
No, I would disagree there. It is never the best solution to end a life.
If you've exhausted all other options and they're going to kill more, so I mean, I guess like it's for you for the trolley problem, like you just have to not get involved, right? You have to let the 5 people die every time, right?
The what problem?
The trolley problem, it's like a
Trolley
classic.
problem?
Yeah. You always let the 5 people die, right?
There's no way to stop people from encountering harm. That's a flawed experiment.
I mean, it's not a flawed experiment. There's people. So then why do anything? There's no way to stop anything from ever happening, so why do anything, right?
The reason you do something is, for me anyway, a sense of fulfillment. I'm not drawn to doing things like, I'm not just drawn to doing things for the sake of doing things. I'm
I
trying.
mean, sometimes
to
I do
fulfill
things for a
myself,
sense of
whether-
duty. Do you have a sense of duty at all to anything or anyone?
How do you mean?
Do you know what, like what are we getting caught up on here? Like, is like the word duty? Like, what does duty mean?
No. I mean, my sense of duty to Rachel is one of compassion, one of, in our agreement, monogamy is one of caring for her emotional state, which I guess falls under compassion. I have a sense of duty, yes, to the people that I'm around, absolutely.
Okay, so sometimes we act out of not just fulfillment, but out of duty too. Sometimes we do things that don't feel good to do because we have a sense of duty to do them, right?
No, but it's still fulfilling because it is still offering a person that I care about fulfillment.
Well, then I guess we could say that. I mean, pretty much everything everybody does. I mean, it would say that like they're getting some sort of fulfillment at some point throughout the action, right? Because that's basically like saying the difference between like, are you doing anything selflessly? Almost nothing is selfless, right?
I mean, but I mean, sure, like, yeah, we all want to eat, duh.
So then we're
But
always
it's still
doing something for
possible
fulfillment.
to have that drive and to act selflessly at the same time. Why not both?
Well, because that's not what selfless means. Selfless means you get nothing out of it. I mean, this is just a thought experiment. I'm not trying to like gotcha on anything here.
No. I mean, but I've done things where I've got nothing out of it, and just to feel fulfilled. You ever
Yeah,
paid
but
for
you
somebody's
feeling
groceries
fulfilled
at
is the thing
grocery
you got
store,
out of
dude?
it. What I'm saying is feeling fulfilled is the thing you get out of it, though. Like if you didn't have that fulfillment after doing it, you wouldn't have done it.
No. But that doesn't come until after the fact.
Sure, that doesn't mean that it's not. That doesn't take away like the thing
Let
that
me
you
go
get
back
out of
to
it, though.
the question I just
You
asked
know
you.
you're
Have you
gonna feel
ever-
fulfilled.
Have you ever paid for somebody's groceries at the grocery store? Their card got declined in front of you.
I've definitely I've thrown people a couple bucks when they were short. I remember there was a guy who was trying to get a big bag of
I didn't
tobacco
even
at the
tell her
store.
my damn name, dude.
Sure,
Like,
I mean, yeah, I mean,
I've paid for her entire
I do
groceries.
nice things
I
without
didn't
expecting anything
know
in
it would
return
make
all the
me
time.
feel amazing. I just did it because you know what? I've been in this position before where somebody's card was declined, and I've wished I had the money, and I found myself wishing I had the money. And holy shit, I had the money this one time. So I did it. But I just did it because I knew that I was the right person in the right spot at that right point.
I do
I
nice
didn't
things for
do it to
people
feel
because it
fulfilled.
makes me feel good.
I didn't
It makes
do
me
it
happy
to
to
feel
do.
good. I did it because it was a person in front of me needing help, and
I-
I had the chance to help them for what you know.
Yeah,
Like,
but if
I
it made
was
you feel
finally in a
terrible to
position-
do that, you wouldn't have done it.
I'm not certain that I wouldn't have done it.
I mean, you can't make the claim that you would have, though, right?
I've
I think you had a pretty good idea of how you were going to feel by doing a nice thing for somebody, which is fine. I think that it's still super great. I don't think it takes
I've done
anything
the
away from
morally
it.
Right thing that lasted for years and years, and only resulted in me feeling like shit.
Well, I
do
mean,
the right thing simply because it's the right thing to do, whether or not it's going to make me feel good.
if you don't do the right thing, how do you feel?
Like shit.
Okay, so then doing the right thing is always self-serving, because if you don't do the right thing, you're going to feel like shit. Which means you feel better when you do the good thing. This is how we operate. There's no shame in that. That's just how human beings are. We have I mean, this is unless you have some like
I'm not arguing that's a good or a bad thing. I'm saying that it's possible for us to act selflessly and still maintain our own needs, wants, desires.
That's fine. I think I don't want to get super caught up on this. I think that we just have different definitions of what selfless means, which is fine. I think I understand where you're coming from. You can do a good thing without expecting anything in return, and that's still good. I agree with that. We're just getting caught up on words. We pretty much agree.
Yeah.
So I don't want to get too caught up on that.
See, like the morality thing with Rittenhouse, I feel is completely different. It's not the defense of property. Because again, like the defense of property does nothing for me, just like the law thing does nothing for you.
Well, I'm saying, but yeah, so because you said that nobody can ever defend property. So you said
I
your
just don't
moral
think there's
ought.
property worth taking lives for, dude. Like that's what I'm trying to say. It's like,
well, like I said,
think
to
we're
me-
getting hung up on this again. I think this. I'm trying to move us forward back.
Sure.
Well, back to the Rittenhouse thing, but still forward where I think the actual moral conundrum lies.
Uh-huh.
And it's radicalized youth, child soldiers. And that's something that I am very against, and I'm very disturbed with half of the political spectrum being not only okay with it but making him a folk hero.
By the way,
Like
I would like
that
to say too,
part.
I think he's an idiot. I think he's super fucking stupid for going. I think that he never should have done any of this stuff. I think that he got himself into a big mess that could have been completely avoided. But he's sitting the fucking home, and like I wouldn't have done it or anything like that. I just want to be clear. I don't
I
support what he did in any way, shape, or form. But I just think that the moral argument isn't as black and white as like
Yeah, and I
he's
understand
fucking
how
stupid.
That
So
the
I
moral
just-
argument that you were trying to make was one about private property, and I don't think that you
Well-
and I are ever necessarily going to agree on that. because
Sure.
I don't.
But I also think
Like,
that he acted
I
in
don't care about
self-defense
private
as well.
I don't believe so. I don't believe that there can be a self-defense defense because he's not legally able to possess that weapon. And when you
Okay.
use terms like hold on, no. Because when you use terms like self-defense, you are using a legal definition. You
Okay.
are. You're using
No,
a
I'm-
legal term
I-
that
So
that
nobody can
has
act in
weight.
self-defense outside of the law?
it's defined.
Okay,
So why are we trying to redefine it?
No, because no. When I say self-defense, I'm saying something that means something to me. So, and I'm not saying like illegally
But
speaking. And maybe,
self-defense- But self-defense to Kyle Rittenhouse can be a confused, scared teenager pulling a trigger. And then you've just justified the actions of a man moments ago you said was stupid for being in the place.
Sure, you can be stupid and still morally justified in how you chose to respond in the bad situation you put yourself in. So when somebody's brandishing lethal force and you charge them, you are implying lethal intent in doing so. If I have a gun,
Wow.
if I'm carrying a shotgun and I'm
No. That does not work like that, dude. Because as a gun owner, you should know that your first shot is not a lethal shot. You shoot to wound, not to kill. If your hand is anywhere near your weapon, you're ready to fire. And if you're ready to fire as a responsible gun owner, you are shooting to stop, not to end the life.
Okay, so not if you think your life's in danger.
That is not the point here. The point is that
I'm saying that he has every reason to think that his life was in danger. If you're brandishing a weapon,
classes, if you are a legal, responsible gun owner and you've gone to your gun safety classes, they will inform you that the only time your hand is to be on your weapon is if you are ready to use it. They will also inform you that you need to aim somewhere without a lethal intent. The point is not to kill. The point is to stop. And
okay.
Kyle Rittenhouse had no right to take those lives. Now, no. The moral argument that I feel, because you actually got me thinking about this, and I was like, okay, well, maybe there is a moral argument here.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's the only thing that I've got written about after the fact is a statement to Antioch Police Department that Kyle Rittenhouse made.
Mm-hmm.
Quote, "I shot 2 white kids," end quote. Why does he specify what race they are? Why does it matter?
I can't know how he feels, so I can't make any assumptions about it.
Well, the moral, what I feel here is the moral question is, how is this kid radicalized and then made a folk hero?
That's a completely separate thing. I think all that's garbage too. I don't have any opposing opinions with you on that. We already know how. It's unfortunate, is what we're really trying to say. We know how this happens. It's very. I don't think you and I need to break down how this happens. We know, right?
Well, I'm not saying that we should break down how it happens.
Right. So I'm saying. You said the moral argument is, how does this happen? We don't need to examine that. We both know how right-wing media and right-wing YouTube and stuff radicalizes kids his age. This is very apparent to anybody with half a brain. Kids get red-pilled and they get radicalized pretty easily. This is the same thing that we complain about happening in the Middle East with different ideologies. This is the same shit.
I don't know.
People that are vulnerable
I am a product of a childhood of Rush Limbaugh episodes on Family Vacation, dude. I just cannot wrap my head around.
Things are different now. Kids have access to unlimited, unfiltered information. They get put in these echo chambers and stuff. YouTube, RedTube is fucking crazy. That's how it happens.
Those echo chambers existed prior to YouTube, though.
Not like this, though. You have unlimited access to information that can just pound these ideas into your head like crazy. To me, I can see a really easy line drawn as to how somebody goes from normal person to crazy conspiracy theorist, right wing nut job. And I've seen it happen, so I know how it happens. People only hear the same thing over and over again. You can even change your own mind about something if you repeat the same thing over and over again every day. This is just psychology.
Sure. Yeah, totally. Yeah. You look yourself in the mirror and you tell yourself you're worth it and you feel worth it, right?
Yeah, sure. And then we can extend this out really far, too. This goes a lot farther than most people think.
My argument is that in our childhood, those echo chambers still existed. Do you remember?
No way.
Were they Usenet boards or whatever it was back in the early days of the internet?
There was nothing like it is today, dude. There was no pragmatic, every day there's a new video, 3 videos coming out every single day in your face to justify any crazy bullshit that just happened. There was nothing like this.
We had that they are not video based, but there were people on those boards using text-based application to justify the actions of these people all of the time.
Sure, but access to that information wasn't what it is today by far.
It was easy enough for 8-year-old me to figure out. So
Okay,
I mean, I could imagine.
sure, 8-year-old you that had access to the internet, which most people didn't at that time. And most people didn't know where to find this stuff. This stuff is so much easier to access. Access to the internet to access this stuff is so like common. Like everything has made it so much easier, and the content has gotten better in the way that it is able to reach people. Everything about it has evolved and changed to the point to where that's why we're seeing it's different now. Like it's like you can't say that it's not different now, but like here we are, and it's clearly the effects are different now because it's different. It's changed. It's gotten bigger and stronger. This is not the same beast we grappled with.
Thinks there's a race war happening in America, like a shooting race war.
That's a huge talking point on RedTube.
Like, do they actually believe there's a shooting race war happening? Because I agree there's a systemic race war happening.
A lot of times, a lot of right wing people think that the government is trying to stage a race war to get black people pitted against white people so that they can take over everything. This is 100% what people think. I've met these people. I know these people.
An optics standpoint, they probably view like, oh God, what was that jerk's name? Zimmerman. They probably view his exoneration as though it was a call to a race war, a shooting race war. But
I don't know. I have a hard time assessing what other people like think about certain things. That's really hard for me to do.
I guess my point is that like I didn't realize there were people out there that believed there was an actual shooting race war happening.
Yeah, absolutely. They think it's orchestrated by the government in order to perpetrate a takeover of all of our rights. They want to take our guns. They want to put us like into camps. They want to put us into FEMA camps. All the whole shebang, man. And don't get me wrong, I used to be a huge conspiracy theorist, and I still hold a lot of certain things true to this day to me. But in the last 3 or 4 years, conspiracy theorists have made people like me that did like actual research. We looked things up and didn't watch YouTube videos to get our information look really fucking bad. So it's not even easy for me to say, like, I used to be a big conspiracy theorist and still hold a lot of these things to be true. Like, it's really hard for me to talk about, like, conspiracy theories that I do think are correct, because the shit today is bonkers as fuck.
Well, without getting into individual conspiracy theories, there was a period of time where I did believe certain stupid things.
Sure.
And I was an impressionable 20-something, so I can understand. Yeah, like people see this and start falling down the quote-unquote rabbit hole or whatever.
Kyle's an impressionable 17-year-old.
Yeah, dude, and I get it. Like I was there. We've all watched Loose Change, and the unfortunate nature of that though is that like I began to see it as a joke after a little while. Was that it was this funny tongue-in-cheek joke, and I do remember. Even like in the early aughts, telling people that the best damn comedian on television was Bill O'Reilly.
Sure.
And what a horrible thing to say. But that's because I wanted to make a joke out of everything. And after experiencing the rise of violent conspiracy theories, I don't think any of them are a joke anymore. Like it's not funny. It's not okay to mock people because they think the earth is flat. It's not okay, and it sucks that I didn't inherently believe these things all along. We want to believe we're righteous in nature and good or whatever, but I didn't believe these things all along. It took for them to be violent for me to realize like, well, shit, your mocking of them is probably part of the problem, dude. And who are you to mock anybody for their beliefs? So I mean, I'm a little, that same mother I told you about, like, she flies a thin blue line flag over top of a Trump flag. And when I tried to explain to her that one of those ideologies killed a person from another of those ideologies, she started spouting QAnon shit at me and reminded me that at one point I believed that 9/11 was an inside job. And then it occurred to me, the same people that told me that are the same people that radicalized her, that made her believe these crazy conspiracy theories. And it's not funny. It's sad. Really sad. So I can't even laugh about Alex Jones being Bill Hicks anymore. You know, I don't even think that that's worth the time of day. You know, it's not funny to me anymore. It's just sad.
That's one of my favorites.
It was my favorite. I mentioned it because it's the most ludicrous.
Dude, so if you ever watch Bill Hicks?
Yeah, of course.
The one time
yells-
it
the
really
yells.
got me. Oh my god, I was laying down and I just sort of like passively listening to it, and when he does the "suck Satan's cock," I sat right up. I was like,
Yeah,
"That's
dude.
Alex Jones's fuck, bro. What?" And like, I know Alex Jones' voice. You could show me
know.
50 Alex Jones impersonators, I would pick his voice out in a heartbeat, and I have never. Dude, that is
I
it.
know.
That is
Yeah,
the most
yeah.
convincing.
Like I
Like
said.
fuck the face alignment shit that you like. I'm sure you've seen where like the nose and
I
the
know,
ears and the
yeah.
eyes line up.
Yeah.
The voice. Oh my gosh. Then
No,
they
it's
knew each other,
definitely
lived in
in
the
the
same
yell.
area.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's in the
man.
yell, dude. Like anytime I hear Alex Jones yell, I'm like, wow, I miss Bill Hicks. But it's it was wrong of me to ever mock those people, you know, and that's me atoning for.
I think
being
it's
a
just
bad
wrong to mock
person,
people in
you know?
general, right?
Well, of course, yes.
And we're not
Yes.
perfect.
Right. But I also think that there's, like I said, you're so close to the rabbit hole that it's easy to just fall in and keep going.
Yeah, that's how kids like Kyle end up like they are. Right?
And it's still confusing, because like for all intents and purposes, the recipe was right and the stewing temperature was right, and I'm talking about my own life here,
Yeah. You always behave in a manner. You at least do your best to always behave in a way that you think is correct, right?
Yeah. And
So
I'm thinking
so did
that
Kyle.
Maybe it was Dumbledore that radicalized me the other way, Like I don't know. I don't know what it was. But I just can't, like, how do you go from youth cadet to Back the Blue to raising money for Humanize the Badge to radicalized? I know how, right? I definitely know the steps involved. I'm just saying, like, where's the internal dialogue? Where's the want to question things around you on a standpoint of, is this right? Is this wrong? Like, what about other people? Where?
Just little moments of reflection that not everybody has. I talked to somebody close to me. They knew somebody who was an addict, and they said, "What do I do? What do I do about this? They're stealing from me. They're stealing my medicine and they're stealing my money. How do I deal with this?" And I said, I was an addict before, and there was a point where I went into my grandmother's room and I took money from under her mattress, and it was in my hand, and I looked at it, and in that moment I had the chance to look at what I was doing from the outside.
Mhm.
And I stopped and I put the money back, and I said, man, not everybody has the ability not everybody gets that moment. Not everybody has the ability to see what they're doing from an outside perspective and realize that what they're doing is wrong. People get tunnel vision. People especially like really radicalized people, this is all they think about. They're like an addict. It's all they think about. That's all they read about. It's all they talk about. So like they don't ever have this moment where something else can intervene and go, hey, look, this is what's happening right now. I know the thing that you want. I know the thing that you like, but this is what's happening. Here's what's real right now. Not everybody gets that moment of reflection. So it's not right for people to behave in a way that ignores the reality of the situation at all, nor should we tolerate it. But that's what's happening. And I know that's hard for people because I would hope that most people, when they are making really poor choices, get this moment of clarity where they can sort of examine this stuff, but not everybody has that. And I know because I was close enough to not having that several times in my life, but always it seemed like at the last moment. I mean, don't get me wrong, I've definitely made bad decisions before and like didn't have that, but I think at some of the most important, most crucial times, I had this moment where I realized I was fucking up and I needed to stop. And that was just one of a few times where I was really at like a pivotal moment where I was fucking up and had the grace to be able to not do the horrible things that was going to basically take me down a path that I didn't want to be on anymore. So
What was your suggestion to the friend that was being stolen from?
that's what you have to understand, that they don't have that capacity. You have to act as though like this is what's going on. Like I can't tell you what to or not to do.
Okay.
about this person, but you need to understand, like you need to make these, you need to take your actions understanding that it's not that they don't care about you. It's not that they don't love you. It's just they don't have the capacity in the state they are right now to do what you need them to do the right thing.
Okay,
Because
so
they don't.
is it possible for you to extrapolate that right there,
Yeah.
that understanding,
Mm-hmm.
and apply it to the home invasion scenario?
Sure, but I'm not telling him that the answer isn't to do the thing to the other person. So I'm saying that if somebody's invading my home, they might be in a bad state, but I don't have the ability to assess that. I don't know them. I don't know their intentions, and I'm not going to stop and try to figure it out. I have my home, everything that I built in my home, and my family here, so that's on them. I can't. I cannot make the sacrifice of my family. And not only that, too, I can't make that decision for my family. That they like, I can't decide that like if I'm the first line of defense between like an invader in my home and my family, I don't get to choose for them to just let this person do whatever they want. That's giving up their autonomy. Like I'm basically making a claim about their autonomy. I could stop and protect your guys' autonomy over this person's autonomy. In no way. I have a duty to them and to myself to protect them and the things that I hold to be important to me. I definitely believe in duty to the self. I think that it's very important that
So,
you have to
okay.
take care of yourself, and I think that it's super important that you stay true to your convictions. Otherwise, you probably won't be able to like care for yourself very well. I think that people that violate their convictions, and it's just the same as changing and growing. But I think that people that don't stand by their convictions will have a much harder time respecting and loving themselves and making good decisions for themselves.
Yeah.
Like you
So
won't respect
I
yourself. There you
find
go.
it I find it hard to view, because a lot of, I mean, dude, a lot of B&Es are conducted by addicts, right? So
Sure.
obviously that's a subset of the population that you feel for.
Yeah.
And I find it really hard to believe that if you're faced with that situation, that you don't just instantly throw your hands up and try and say, hey, what's going on here, man?
Let me put it this way. If I see that they're not armed and I'm armed, I will definitely try to use this to my advantage in every way, shape, or form. I'll say, hey, look, not here, not today. You gotta go. Something like that. I would very much, like, that's how I picture me reacting. My first reaction isn't to blow an unarmed man's head off by any stretch. It all depends on, like, how much time I have, how much I can assess in that moment. Like, I'm not trained. It's not like let me put it this way. I'm not granting this to like police officers who are trained and they know how to handle these types of situations at all. I think that shit's completely different and they have much more. There's much more onus on them to conduct themselves differently. But me, as a guy who's not very
Have you ever
strong,
had a gun pointed at you?
oh yeah,
Yeah.
yep.
Okay.
My buddy pulled a shotgun on me before. I know he thought he was cool.
Pulled a revolver on that friend and myself, and I immediately walked out of that friend of a friend's place and never went back.
Not to try to sound cool or anything, but I took the barrel of the shotgun, I grabbed it, and I put it at my head. I said, either you're not gonna do it, or I'm not gonna know the difference. And he put the gun down, cause like, fuck, dude, don't shoot me in the middle of my body. Shoot me in the fucking head, or that, like, dude, I'm telling you, I don't want to. Like, could you imagine if you like
Oh,
flattened one of my
okay,
lungs and I
wait.
lived? Fuck that shit.
I think I'm realizing something. Okay. So, like, my point earlier about gun safety classes and being taught, like, shoot to maim, not to kill. Like, that is
Yeah.
literally what you're taught. You don't want to experience that maiming, right?
Whoa, no, not
Right.
if it's
So
gonna
in
like
your
cripple
mind,
me or
it's
something.
literally better to be shot to killed, and thus you would prefer.
I mean, it
lethal
depends on the maiming.
side of the equation if the shoes were on the other foot, so to
It
speak.
depends on the maiming, but still don't. So here's the situation. So I would definitely rather lose a leg than my life.
Yeah.
I would not rather lose a lung than my life.
Well, that lung probably means the loss of your life as well, though.
Well, I'm just saying, like, if I lose functionality in my lungs, I know what it's like to not be able to breathe good, and I just, man, if I lost
Yeah.
like half of what I have
That's
now,
not a
fuck
life.
that.
That's not a life. That's what I'm saying. Like, you've effectively ended your life if you only have one lung, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I'm totally agreeing with you there. That's no way to live. So
So
yeah, I guess I'm seeing better where your opinion is is built. You know, like that you would rather be shot to be ended if the shoe were on the other foot. Like if kill me if I break into your house, I guess is what I'm getting out of it.
Yeah, if I go to break into somebody's house, I would
You're
fully
expecting-
expect that person, to take me
Yeah.
out. I know the risk that I'm taking when I do that. I'm basically saying that your stuff is worth my life. The risk of me, like, I'm taking a gamble that if I can get in and get out without losing my life, and I'm betting
That's
my life to
interesting.
do it.
So, and that statement you just made is what I say is interesting, that you're betting that their stuff is worth more than your life. And my entire point is that no possession is worth more than any life, even my own. So our viewpoints actually align a little better than I originally thought. It's just that we're
I
at
told
sort
you
of
they would.
polar opposites of the property versus life spectrum. And in that example of a person breaking in, we're just using our own intrinsic value of possessions versus life to make the decision that we feel we would make in this hypothetical.
Sure.
So what I'm yeah,
But
what
like
I'm
I said
saying
too,
is
I would
get
definitely
what you're
try
saying.
not to kill somebody if I didn't have to. My first reaction wouldn't be to blow somebody's head off. If they had a gun, yeah, I'm shooting to kill.
Right,
Absolutely.
and that's why I said I would hope that you're not going to just blow this person away, because I would think that you would want better out of another human being than robbery and then to kill the robber. Like I would want better out of a robber than to rob me, but I would also try and be like, hey man,
Like for instance,
if I can replace it.
if I can give the perfect scenario where a naked man who's clearly unarmed in my living room is well lit up breaks into my house, the worst thing that he would get. I would certainly try to fire a warning shot at the ground, and just try to get him out of my house. Now, if they're approaching me, to me, that tells me if they're getting close enough to where they can disarm me, that tells me that they're trying to kill me. They're trying to take my gun from me and kill me or my family, in which case I would probably meet them with lethal force.
I'm going to break the mood a little bit here. You know the movie Sixth Sense, right?
Yep.
All right. It's famous home invasion, is it not? Like, you know what I'm talking about? Oh, Sixth Sense. The whole
the dude who breaks in?
The dude who breaks in and kills the Bruce
Yeah.
Willis's character, right?
Yeah.
Isn't he a naked man with a gun in that movie?
Yeah, he does have a gun.
All right. So
But he has a gun. He has a gun.
here's
That's
why
the
I'm
big
coming to this.
difference.
I know. I get it. But here's why I'm coming to this. The entire time you were explaining like the home invasion thing, for some reason or another, my brain was just playing that scene in The Sixth Sense. So then, when you defaulted to the naked man, I've already been envisioning for the last hour or so that scene in The Sixth Sense, and now you've talked about the naked man, and I'm like, but wait, didn't the naked man shoot the guy in this instance I've been thinking about for the last hour? So sorry.
Sure. Yeah, this is a little bit different.
It just still plays into what I've been thinking about in my head for the entire conversation.
Sure. So like, but then that's and you agree that if the naked man's approaching me, he's probably if he's charging at me while I'm holding a gun, he's probably trying to take my gun from me, right?
Probably, yeah.
Okay, so that's where I'm coming at when I say
So
that
would
the
it
person.
not be better to be not armed in that situation? Would it be better to not be armed in that
Well,
situation?
no, because I don't know if the person coming in is armed or not.
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm talking about with Kyle Rittenhouse. When he was first pursued, he was running away, and somebody was pursuing him. And so that tells me that they're displaying lethal intent. That they might have a knife or something on them that he doesn't know about, which is the same as the person coming in my house that's not naked, or they're trying to take his gun from him and kill him. So I think it's reasonable to assume.
Wasn't the group chasing him because he had already shot one other person?
No, this was a guy. An individual was chasing him, and then who he shot, and then a group was chasing him, and then he shot somebody else. And this is why I'm saying if somebody's charging at somebody with a gun, they're saying, I intend to meet your lethal force. And
Well,
that's
we can't like that dude's dead. We'll never
sure,
know why.
but I'm
he
saying
ran
that's the
after Kyle Rittenhouse.
right. I'm saying that if you're armed, that's how you have to perceive it. Just like me, if the naked guy was charging at me while
I
I'm
don't know,
armed,
though,
I have
dude.
to assume.
I would assume no. I would assume that gun owner has taken safety courses that have taught him not to use his goddamn gun there. Like, I know Second Amendment supporters that still won't defend him using his gun there.
I don't know if people are looking at it through the framing of this person is charging you. Like, if somebody's charging you while you're having a gun, like, to me, that tells me that they're just like we agreed that naked guy's probably trying to take my gun. We have agreed on that. So, we can't know for sure, but that is a very real threat that I have to assess now in the moment, is that they're trying to take my gun from me.
I don't think it is, because as the gun owner...
We already agreed that was.
No, it's not. I never agreed that that's an equitable trade.
I didn't say equitable trade. It's reasonable to assume that they're trying to disarm me.
In the naked man scenario, sure, why not? That the naked guy would try and reach for your gun, sure, but I'm not applying
So why
that
would somebody
to...
else... Like, how does the situation change?
Because me, as somebody who has gone through gun safety courses, through Boy Scouts and shit like that, like, we were always taught not to shoot to kill. So if that person has the same understanding as me, they've gone through whatever gun safety, and they're now chasing after a gun holder, they are assuming that this person has taken gun safety classes and will not be shooting to kill an unarmed person. Because that's, like... He did not evaluate the situation.
Nobody.
If he shot another person. Everybody has to, or you're not a responsible gun owner.
Wait.
Part of the trade of buying a fucking gun.
So wait, you're saying that anybody who's brandishing a gun is assumed that they will not use that gun with lethal force?
Anybody who is brandishing a gun does not deserve to have a gun. Because
that's not what I asked. That's not the question.
I don't care what you asked. It is irrelevant. The point is that it is against the law to brandish a gun at anybody. You have broken the law. You do not deserve to be a gun owner any longer because you are not a gun owner. You're not a responsible gun owner.
Okay, so
you've committed a gun-based crime if you are brandishing a weapon, and thus your right to hold a weapon is being taken away. Like, that's what those are the consequences for those actions. There aren't moral consequences.
The consequences of your actions is to have another citizen take your gun from you, and then you have to hope that person is like a responsible gun owner who has taken courses and isn't going to use that gun to kill you.
All right. In order to even possess a weapon, you still need gun safety classes.
Sure.
Or maybe it's just a concealed permit now. I don't really remember.
Well, concealed is totally different. Sure. If your gun's concealed, it's different. When it's displayed, you're displaying a lethal force, and if somebody's charging at you, they're displaying lethal intent.
You're not supposed to be brandishing that weapon. As the gun owner, you know that is against the law and will get your right to carry guns revoked.
So once you brandish a weapon, you automatically committing murder by using it?
I'm not saying you're committing murder. I'm saying you're committing a different crime. Brandishing. It is not a moral issue. It is a legal issue then.
Okay, that has nothing to do with like what I had brought up. Like, I could say, sure, that's fine, that's illegal, but like we agree with that. But I don't agree with your assessment of what I was saying.
The guy that was killed by Rittenhouse, the first one, even if he chased the guy with the gun, is not expecting to be met with lethal force. I don't think that is not. I don't think that is the issue.
I think that's crazy.
Lethal force.
I think it's crazy to think that you could charge somebody with a gun and not expect to get shot.
Why is is that a person holding a gun shoots another person ever?
That's what you hold a gun for.
No, it's not. It is absolutely not. You do not own a gun to shoot people.
No. You're holding the gun to shoot. You're holding the gun to shoot people. If you
That's
for whatever reason.
At any time that you touch that weapon, you need to be ready to fire it. Yes.
Right, which means that person should know, since it was being brandished, you don't charge at that person because you're gonna get shot.
But not shot at a place that kills.
Okay.
You shoot below the waist. That is what you're taught.
Okay, so this person charging him is like, all right, well, I might get shot, but he's not going to kill me. That's what you're saying happened there?
I may get shot, but I shouldn't expect to be killed. Sure.
So if somebody's robbing a store too, do you think the same thing? Like, I don't understand. When somebody's wielding a gun, I think that...
You know as well as I do that when somebody's robbing a store, the store employees are trained to just hand the money over.
No. No, when I say robbing a store, they're robbing everybody in the store. You think that if somebody tries to disarm that person, they're not expecting to get shot and killed?
I don't think they're expecting to get shot and killed. No,
okay,
I think they're expecting to be a hero.
So, and then in the second case, after somebody already got killed, everybody who's charging that person, they know this guy means lethal, has lethal intent then, right? And they're still doing so, which means they know that there's a good chance that they'll get shot and killed by charging, right? Can we at least admit that part?
So you want to blame the victims?
I'm saying that, so like, first of all, he was running away and he was pursued. I'm saying he's not aggressing at this point. When he was running away and pursued on the first instance, somebody was chasing after him. He was not aggressing. He was leaving. He was fleeing, and somebody pursued him and tried hitting him with a bag and a bottle, whatever.
The moment he put his finger on the trigger and declared his intent to use that weapon.
He was fleeing.
The aggressor again. I don't care if he was fleeing. He had to turn back around to shoot these people.
He had somebody who was aggressing on him.
He declared himself the aggressor by showing up with a gun.
So simply having a gun, open carrying, is an act of aggression, is what you're saying.
I believe so, yes.
Okay. I don't agree. However, I think that I don't like open carry. I don't think that's a great idea. I think concealed is a much, much better way to go about it. But I do think that like just having a gun visible puts people on notice. That like if you aggress me, like you would never try to get into a fist fight with somebody with a gun and expect to win. Because if it goes wrong for them, they're going to use the gun. That's the logical thought process that anybody should go through. And I'm not super pro-gun either. I think that we need to change our gun laws and all that shit. But I'm operating within the framework that already currently exists.
But, I mean, I can only tell you what I would do in a situation. I can't tell you what two dead people did or didn't do leading up to a situation.
Well, I can tell you what they did insofar as that they pursued him while he was fleeing. And he didn't prevent anybody from getting medical attention either. So it's not like he was just there like trying to stack up bodies either. Because if you want to stack up bodies, he had a better opportunity to stack up bodies.
He shot that was attempting to attend to the second person he shot.
Wait, say that again?
The third person he shot and only wounded, if I remember correctly, was attempting to attend to the second person's wounds when he was shot. Am I misremembering this?
Let me see. Charge Thomas in this position. I know about the initial two. I don't know. Was that
third?
Where they were just sitting there?
He was claiming to be an EMT and trying to attend to one of the wounded. That was my understanding when the third person was shot.
If they weren't pursuing him and he was still fleeing, and then he turned around and just fired upon a person who wasn't pursuing him at all, then I would say that would be murder. Yeah.
Why not just keep fleeing though? You're the one with the gun.
Well, because somebody's pursuing you. Because somebody's pursuing you and trying to disarm you, or somebody's pursuing you with the
Do warning shots not exist? Why didn't he shoot the ground?
Because that doesn't stop somebody from taking your gun from you.
It shows that I'm ready to use this, and maybe get
brandishing the gun shows that you're ready to use it too. Shooting the first person shows that you're ready to use it, so the second person already knows that they're ready to use it. Warning shot's not going to deter them when they already killed somebody.
Witnessed a man get murdered. You don't think that pissed them off?
I think that pursuing somebody who's fleeing after killing somebody is stupid. I think that you should call the cops, and that you should not, just like you said with the car, you shouldn't be getting yourself involved.
Somebody that breaks into your house to steal your shit. Why should you kill that person, but not call the cops in that instance, but call the cops in this one instance? Why is it
because they're not fleeing my house; they're entering my house. They're aggressing. They're not fleeing. He was fleeing, not aggressing. Somebody else aggressed upon him.
He has a gun. He's aggressor.
Fleeing. He's leaving though. He's fleeing.
He has a gun. He is the aggressor. There is no person that is more aggressive in that situation than the armed individual.
Who's leaving? How does he just unarm himself? He has to like throw his gun down on the ground and then give it to somebody who's but then he's giving the gun to somebody who's pursuing him with lethal intent already.
Shouldn't have had the fucking gun to begin with.
Okay, so that's basically what you're saying, is that having a gun is just you're automatically wrong no matter what because you had the gun.
Yes,
and there's no situation ever. There's no situation. Well, I just don't understand.
But no, you're like, dude, you're just trying to get me to make blanket statements, and I'm trying to tell you over and over and over.
I'm trying to figure out the thing that makes this
my moral compass to anybody else. that I'm a pacifist, and that is
But-
my decision for me, and I'm not going to tell anybody else that they're right or wrong about anything. It's not for me to decide.
But you're telling me that this was wrong because of this. So you are making a moral statement about the actions that Rittenhouse took.
I think owning a gun is wrong. There you go. Is that what you want from me?
I mean, I'm not trying to, like, I don't want anything from you. I'm just trying to understand, buddy. I think you're misunderstanding
I
my
don't think
intention.
you are. I think that you're
You're
I think
ascribing
that
this
you are.
intention to me.
I think you're baiting statements.
No, I'm not. Like, you think I'm a malevolent guy? I'm just trying to understand. Because it
I don't
seems
think
like...
bait is malevolent.
What?
I think that a journalist has. Hold on. You think that a journalist asking questions, throwing bait at somebody, is malevolent intent?
No, I don't think I'm a
I know
journalist,
you're
and
not
I
a
don't. And I'm not
journalist.
trying to bait you.
I get that, but what I'm saying is that in an interview setting, it is possible to bait the other party without
that's-
malicious intent.
That's not my no. I have no intent to do that. My intent is to understand your point. And so, like, unless I get you to make certain concessions, like, it's not going to make sense to me.
But you can't get me to make those concessions, Jamie, because I'm not going to prescribe what I feel to anybody else. I might think that was wrong, but that's only for me to decide.
But to me, it sounds
I'm
like
not
to me that
trying
you're
to-
already making moral statements about what he did. So, like,
To
it seems
me,
weird.
I'm just trying to say, fuck that guy. He had no right being there. It had no business being there. Had no business holding the gun. I'm saying that there are bigger legal questions than these moral questions.
Sure,
And that those are the actual problems at bay, because that is the system that keeps us held back.
So
Whether
no,
we're talking about employment or guns or
So-
rioting or looting or whatever, we're talking about people systemically being held back.
so I
And we're
guess
talking about a child soldier who got radicalized by the fucking GOP and QAnon into believing that there's a shooting race war going on because he said I shot 2 white kids.
I don't.
You know, like the issue to me is not the morality of property. Because, like, why does he want to protect a town he doesn't even fucking live in? It's
I mean,
not
it doesn't
even-
matter why. Like, he's allowed to want
It
to, right?
does no, he's not.
You're not allowed to want to protect anything.
If it doesn't belong to you, why should you want to?
Well, okay. See, you're making a moral statement right there. You're seeing should. You're making an
I'm
ought
not.
statement. You're saying you ought not care about things that property that isn't yours. That is a moral statement. That's what your words mean.
I don't think anybody should care about property.
Okay, that's
over
a moral statement.
But that is my moral compass, and I'm not going to
Sure.
prescribe
You
the
just
morality I
did.
hold myself to other people.
You said anybody. You're prescribing it to everybody.
I'm not, though.
You
These are
just
ways that I
did.
feel about my path in life. If
You said
somebody
I don't think
wants-
anybody should. That's a moral prescription to everybody.
No, it's not. It's one person's idea. It's not prescribing things for an entire society.
Well-
I'm just one tiny little drop in a giant fucking ocean, Jamie.
Then what does it mean when I
not
say
gonna-
anybody
What does
shouldn't?
that mean? What does that mean? That means that in my standpoint, like, don't take a gun to a protest. And if you do, I don't want to talk to you because I'm just one human being and it's my choice not to interact with you. Whatever anybody else does is for them to decide.
But
I'm
but
not
you-
a judge. I'm not a lawyer. I don't sit on a jury. I haven't been asked to do jury duty for anybody. It's not my place to decide for anybody else. If my kids are being rude to other people, I will tell them to stop being rude because it is my place. But I'm not going to prescribe my morality to other people. And I'm not going to think down upon, like, if you murder somebody, I think you're a piece of shit. I think my dad's a piece of shit for killing Vietnamese people and saying a word to me that at 33 I didn't even fucking realize was a slur until I was like, holy shit, I said, you're right. But dude, like,
you're contradicting a lot, though, man. You can't say nobody should do this and then say I don't make moral
I'm not saying that nobody
prescriptions.
should do this.
You
I'm
literally
saying
said
that
it.
I won't do this.
Okay, then
I won't do this.
then
I
why?
am one human being, Jamie. I am not everybody. That's my point.
I never said that you were or had to be, bud.
You are by saying I'm prescribing anything.
Well, I said it in response to you making a moral prescription.
But I'm not. I am
When
not
you
saying
say-
that humanity has to be any way.
When you say nobody should ever do X, that is literally you saying You're making a moral statement about what all of humanity should or should not do, and that's something that you did. So I responded with,
I don't think people should take guns to protest.
"That
I'm
is a
not
moral statement."
prescribing.
Are you still there, bud?
I'm here. Oh, I'm here.
Oh,
I'm just failing to understand you, and it's frustrating because
maybe
to
we
me,
have a
you're
difference in
a
definition of what a
system
moral
of
statement
beliefs
is.
No, you're telling me a system of beliefs a person has that they act upon is their morality.
A system of beliefs and ideas about like what is good or bad, or like how things ought to be. Yeah, a moral statement is a claim about a moral statement is a claim about something that is morally good or bad, right or wrong, or has some other moral quality. So when you say somebody ought not to do something or should not do something, what you're saying is that it would be wrong for them to do it. This is, by
Well, this whole
definition, a moral
conversation
statement.
is wrong for me to have because I do not wish to judge anyone.
But you judged Kyle Rittenhouse, right?
Because he's a fucking murderer.
Okay, so this comes in conflict with the I don't judge anybody, I don't make moral statements. You make moral statements and then you judge somebody. So I guess it's just really hard for me to
He
understand some of
killed
the...
2 people. I'm not making a judgment. I'm stating a fact.
Sure. But you, in doing so in this conversation, you have also made moral statements and judgments. And when I point them out, that you just you retreat it back to say that you don't.
No, okay.
So it's very confusing
I have
for me,
made
buddy.
statements about my beliefs, about how I should live my life.
But then you've also said nobody should do X, which is a statement about what everybody should do or should not do. You've done both. Like, I've heard you make I statements, and I've heard you make moral ought statements. And it's just confusing to me because I'm not sure, like,
Well, see, this
how
whole
to interpret
conversation
that.
is confusing to me because what I've been trying to tell you all along is that people have their own moral codes, and it is not
Sure.
my moral code. And even if I make these little blanket statements about the way that I feel, I am not going to force that view on somebody else.
Well,
You're
what do you mean by
telling me-
force somebody? Making a moral statement isn't forcing somebody to do something. You're saying whether it ought to be done or
No,
not ought to be done.
It's saying that only your way matters, and I am not saying that at all. And you're trying to get me to agree that somehow I think that only my way matters or something?
No.
I don't
I'm
get
just
it.
no, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to when people make moral statements, the most important thing to understand the moral statement is to see, is this moral system that you're laying out for me consistent?
The moral statements that I am making are about how I choose to live my life, not trying to
Sure.
tell everybody or prescribe to anybody else my morality.
But you have made, okay, maybe you didn't mean to make moral ought statements,
Or
but
maybe
you
you're just
have.
completely misunderstanding that when I make a statement that says, well, I don't think that people should take guns to protests, I'm not saying that it is fucking wrong for everybody to take a gun to a fucking protest.
Then what does people mean?
What does people mean? It's just a thought that's rattling around in my brain like, taking a gun to a protest, kind of lame.
Well, there's a big, do you understand there's a difference between saying I wouldn't take a gun to a protest and that people shouldn't take guns to a protest? Do you see that there's a difference between these two statements? Or are these exactly the same to you?
They're not the same.
Okay.
They're not.
Right. One is descriptive of how you would behave, and the other one is a moral statement about how people ought to behave. Right?
Well, I guess the generality here is that I'm never talking about other people, and this is why I'm getting frustrated. Is that I'm trying to tell you only about myself, and I might use plurals.
Okay, so then you have no, but then I guess it seems really weird to me to comment on like whether what Kyle did was morally right or wrong, because you're telling me that you can't make that call for him.
I'm not comment. I'm not here. I mean, the morality issue doesn't matter to me. He was morally wrong for killing people. I'm not going to defend him in any way, shape, or form.
Sure, but also to you, like it's always wrong to kill anybody for any reason, even to save a life, right? Because pacifism is the thing, right? Which is, I'm not saying it's
How is
wrong. I'm just
killing
trying to
somebody
understand.
saving a life? How is
Well,
killing somebody saving a life?
well, if somebody's about to pull the trigger at my wife's head and I shoot them, that saved my wife's life. If I have a quicker finger on the draw, I saved my wife's life.
So, if that's somebody else's spouse, you didn't save their spouse.
No. Yeah, but I saved my wife's life. Or let's say, okay, I mean, I can give you a really easy example. If somebody has a button they can press and all my family will die, they say, I'm going to kill them in 10 seconds. And I can't reach them in 10 seconds. I can't do anything else. But if I press my button, they die. That is me saving my entire family by killing one person. So this is an example where you could save like more lives than the X lives that are lost. And I mean, obviously, this can play out in different ways. Where if there's like somebody who's like going on a shooting spree and they show no signs of stopping, they can't even say, "Hey, I'm gonna keep on killing people until somebody kills me." And if
So
you try
you're
to stop me,
always
I'm gonna
waiting
kill
for the
you
good
too.
guy with a gun? So you're always just waiting for the good guy with a gun. That's what I'm getting out of this.
Wait, no, I'm saying that if a good guy with a gun can stop a bad person with a gun, for sure. I'm not saying that it's the only solution, but I'm saying that a good guy with a gun is justified in stopping the bad guy with a gun. I'm saying that it is a solution for sure,
All right.
and that there's nothing
So-
wrong with that
so, like,
solution. There's something wrong with thinking that it's
your
the only
spouse's
solution.
in your spouse's eyes, you are the good guy.
I
In
don't
that
care
other
if I'm the good guy to
person's
them.
spouse's eyes, they are the good guy. So both of you are the good guy with the gun. Where's the bad guy with the gun?
Wait, what? It only matters from
I'm talking
my
about,
perspective.
like-
'Cause I'm the one operating here, right?
Oh, but like,
I don't have to operate within this other person's moral system. I have to operate within my moral system.
dude, I've spent an hour and a half telling you that I'm talking about my own personal moral system, and I'm not judging other people by my moral system, right?
But you've judged other people. Repeat, like you've judged your father based on your moral system, which is fine. This is how we all operate. This is what we do. You've judged Kyle Rittenhouse based on your moral system. Like you automatically do. That's what moral systems do. They help us figure out whether things are right or wrong. And the only way you
I don't
cannot.
think killing is right. I think you would be the bad guy with a gun if you shot and killed somebody else, no matter what you did. No matter
how many
what.
lives you saved.
You're not saving any lives. You're ending a life.
So is there no such thing as saving a life then? Preventing somebody's life from being lost isn't saving a life?
Killing another person is not saving a life. It is killing a person. It is ending a life.
And if
So
you
how is ending one life for another life like?
So is it only because it's one for
aside
one?
from you- No, it's the extenuating circumstances that my life is so much more important than this other person's life, so I better take their life before they take something else away from me.
So, okay, so if there was somebody who was going to blow up the entire world, they were going to end everybody's life, including their own. Is it okay to kill them to stop them from doing that if that's your only way to do it?
I prefer to deal in reality, my man.
Okay, yeah,
Like-
but I'm trying to figure out your system here. Does your system allow for you to stop that person? Because this is what I'm trying to understand.
Are you asking me if I read comic books? Like, sure, I like superheroes.
No,
Do you not see how I made that statement based off of your question?
Yeah, I'm just trying to understand because I feel like your system is flawed, and I'm trying to point out the flaw in it. So by engaging in these hypotheticals, it helps me understand how you actually think about your moral system. So let's say this person says, I'm going to kill your wife and then myself. Is it okay to kill them then? Because this person's going to die no matter what. Now can I kill them? To save the life of my wife? Or
I don't
no?
think ending another life is right. There's not.
Okay, but what
there's
should
just
I do?
Not a scenario. I don't fucking know, dude. That's just a completely off the wall scenario that just has. I'm
Sure.
sorry.
I
You're
guess.
never going to be met by a psycho on the street that's like, "Hey, I'm going to blow your fucking wife's head away, and then I'm going to blow mine away." Haha. Like that's just not reality.
Well, shit.
And
People definitely go on shooting sprees and then kill
fucking dealing with
themselves.
reality and legality. All
But
right, and you
what
want to
about the?
ignore legality. My statements are based on legality, not morality. And Kyle Rittenhouse will be judged by a judge and a jury,
Sure.
and they will decipher the law.
But that
And
means
I'm
that we can't
confident
talk
they
about
will
how we feel
render
about
a
it.
guilty verdict
Sure. I'm
because
not.
he broke multiple laws in order to break the murder law.
Okay. I guess I'm just trying to.
And my point is that it does us no good, my dude, to 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 talk about the morality of the hypothetical robbers that never come in the night. Like, why are we using these
Wait,
stupid
but
fear
because
tactics, man?
people do break into people's houses. Also, people do kill a bunch of people and then kill themselves. The Vegas shooter did it. These are things that
Sure.
actually do happen. Because it helps us examine our moral systems and ideas. And if they're not good moral systems or ideas, they won't hold up to scrutiny. They'll fall apart when they're put through a hypothetical. This is how we can refine and understand our moral systems better, and then figure out if maybe we need to change
Well,
them
the core
or
fact of
figure.
the matter is that none of us know how we would react in a situation until we are faced with
It's
that
not about
situation.
how we will react; it's about how we
Yes,
ought
it-
to act.
How ought we act, Jamie?
If you give me a scenario, I can tell you how my moral system would guide me to act. Whether or not I would be able to meet my own moral standards might be a different situation, but I'm pretty confident if you give me any situation, I could tell you how my moral system would guide me and how I ought to behave.
And my moral system tells me it's wrong to kill.
Yeah, correct. So I'm just curious that if it's completely definite, like I said, to where like the same person would die whether or not you killed them, but they would also kill other people. So that's what I'm trying to see. Is like, is it always, no matter what, unethical for you to kill somebody, or would it be
Yes.
more
I'm
ethical
tired
for
of
you to kill?
saying it. Yes.
Well,
And
okay.
I'm tired of saying it.
So I guess it's just hard for me to understand because you haven't like engaged in any of these ones where it puts that idea to the test. So that's all I'm curious about.
Because I don't want to kill anyone, and I don't want to engage in any hypothetical that involves me acting violently, because it will not happen.
So then that is the answer, right? The answer is that we would have to let them kill and then kill themselves. That's what I'm understanding from what your answer is. And I'm not trying to say like you're right or wrong, but like I guess I'm just trying not to assume based on what you're saying. Like I'm trying to understand and not assume. So when I say like, hey, just for clarification, if this scenario happens where they're going to kill your wife and then themselves, like you have to let that happen, right? Because to me, it would seem like when you say like it's not okay to kill, that there would be an extenuating circumstance that I had laid out for you, that you would have to be like, okay, in this situation, it would be okay too. And I'm not going to, and that doesn't mean I'm committing you to like letting Kyle Rittenhouse kill people or anything like that. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that in this situation, I can say, okay, this makes a bit more sense to me. But if you say, but also if you say, yeah, like if it holds up to this hypothetical where you say, yeah, if there's somebody who says, I'm going to kill your wife and then myself, and you say, I still can't kill unless you kill me, and you say, I still would not kill them, I would let them kill my wife and then themselves, then the whole thing makes sense to me. I completely get it, and I completely understand where you're coming from. But without an answer to like being, without an answer to this hypothetical, it makes it hard for me to believe.
The problem that I have with that is that
It makes it hard for me to believe that you really mean it unless you can answer something like that. That's a test for this moral idea. Do you see what I'm saying?
is not a possession, though, Jamie. Like
I didn't say they
like,
were.
but you're acting as though like the whole crux of the moral argument is, do you value private property over life? That was the original. That was the original one, and then it's
Sure.
evolved to an example of my wife is now in danger. Well, I don't view her as property. She has a fight or flight response that will kick in, that will help me help keep her from danger.
No. So say
Like,
when I
you're
say my wife, I'm not
ignoring
saying that
the
like
fact
it's
that
because
there's
I own
another
her.
person in this hypothetical, and like.
Okay, so in this hypothetical, she's powerless right now. She is bound to a chair, cannot move, and the person is telling you.
How then,
Mhm.
in this perfect hypothetical,
Mhm.
can the individual juggle the duty they have to their spouse and the duty they have to do no harm.
That's what I'm asking. I'm seeing how this system, how your system holds up under this, so that I can understand your system. Because to me, it would seem like in most situations where
Why is
somebody
the
makes the
choice not
claim,
just to grab my wife and just walk away?
well, in this hypothetical, you don't have that option.
Why is my
Because
choice not to shield her from the gunshot? Why is my choice not able
you're
to be any of these things?
okay. So in the hypothetical, then you are so. Like, I guess I can curate this
My
hypothetical. I can
life
revise,
over hers. In that hypothetical, my life over hers is what I argue. Take
but
my
you're
life,
not giving you're
not
not getting
hers.
in that in this hypothetical. Like, I can reshape the hypothetical to
those are
try to
so-
understand. See, look,
Those-
do you not understand the purpose of my hypothetical test on the moral system here?
You're trying to test the boundaries of my beliefs, but in this situation, my actual response would be take my life, not hers.
Okay, and they say no. Let's say you're both bound to the chair. This guy says, I'll put a gun on your lap." It puts a gun on your lap. You can freely move your hand. You are bound. You cannot get up. These are chains. You can't shoot your way out. She's
I can freely
bound.
grab the gun, but I can't get out of these bounds. Like, come on, dude. Like, it's just so asinine. Like,
Okay.
the amount of hoops you're trying to jump through.
It's
My point is that I don't
it
want
seems-
harm to come to the people that I love. And I
Sure.
don't want harm to come to any person.
Correct.
So I will not act in any way that will do harm intentionally to another person. In this
Even if it
instance,
prevents
I'm going
harm.
to ask, in this instance, I'm going to say take my life. That is
And they
my
say
answer.
and they say no.
Well, then I guess I just got my wife shot, didn't I?
That's what I'm trying to find out. I'm not trying to make this like crazy. Like, I figured that you would understand what the test.
Crazy, though, dude. It is. It's so far out. Like,
Yeah,
just-
that's the purpose of
it's not-
hypotheticals, to create something that doesn't exist in real life so that we can test a system. And it just look, I'm not trying to make you upset
It's
by
so
trying to test
far
the
removed
system.
from reality, though, which is like where we all live. That
Yeah, morals
it
aren't
feels-
tangible though. Moral systems aren't tangible things. So we have to create hypotheticals in order to test them. This is how moral philosophy has evolved. We didn't do this by
How is
running
it not
rigorous
tangible? How is it not tangible to?
because it's an idea.
to-
It's a system of
No,
ideas.
no.
Can't touch an
Well,
idea.
My question is morality. Like, dude, it is tangible, in the way that your morality kicks in the grocery store example.
That's
You
not
pay for the
tangible.
person's bill.
No.
How? It
That's
is
an
a
action.
Real world.
No, that's an action that comes as a result of your moral system.
Does that
That's-
not make it tangible? Does that not make
No,
real?
that's not what tangible means.
it? Okay, so it's not something we touch, taste, or smell. Gotcha.
Yeah. So what I'm trying to say is that we can test these things, and and we can test them through hypotheticals. That's it.
But we can't.
Yes, we
cannot
can.
test them. No, because we do not know how we will.
I'm not asking
actually
what
act
you
until
would
we
do.
are faced with those
That's not my
circumstances.
question, buddy. My
It
question
doesn't
is, what
matter
ought you
because
do?
It's not reality. Your questions just aren't reality, and the reality.
No
of the matter
hypothetical is
that you're not
reality.
tested. The reality is that you're not tested until you're faced.
I'm
with-
not trying to test you. I'm testing the system you've laid out before me.
It does not get tested until there are real world ramifications in front of somebody.
I'm not asking what you would do. You
Hypotheticals are
couldn't
not
know.
testing.
It's not testing what you would do. It's testing what you ought to do. Does like what part of this isn't like am I not being clear about? Like maybe I can reword something.
You're being crystal clear. My point is that I'm not.
Is it just that it makes you uncomfortable to engage? Does it make you uncomfortable to engage in like a test of your moral system?
No,
So if that's the case, I can
It
back
makes me
off.
uncomfortable to tell people what to do.
I'm not telling you what to do. I'm asking how ought JR behave in this situation.
In whatever manner strikes him at the moment. And I have enough faith in myself to know that that manner is to conduct himself in a way that will do no harm.
So if you're in a situation where okay, I guess we can't engage in hypotheticals to test the moral system.
The point I want to make is that I cannot use intentionally contrived scenarios to test those boundaries because it's not a real world ramification. I can only test those boundaries by being placed in the scenario, in the real world, to know how I would actually respond, not how I think I would respond.
See, I mean, I guess that's okay. I guess not everybody can engage in hypotheticals. My moral system can engage with hypotheticals all day from every angle. If you wanted to throw something at me, I can. So sorry, I didn't. I guess I just assumed that other people's moral systems can.
You have nothing to be sorry for. I don't want you to think that you.
Well, I guess
I don't think my point is being heard.
no. Your point, what I'm understanding is that you can't tell me how you would behave, but I'm not asking how you would behave. And so you're saying that
Well,
you
and I
can't.
also don't know how I should behave.
Sure.
Until that moment, and I am struck with it. And
Sure.
all of the context of the moment.
Well, I tried to provide all the context, but I understand.
But that's still not all the context, man. Like, it's just a blank page. And any of us can fill a blank page with empty words.
I mean, I feel like I laid out the scenario pretty clearly. Like, for instance,
But
like I can tell you how I
do you not
ought to
understand
behave in
why I
that
think it's a blank
situation.
page? Do you not understand why I don't think that a hypothetical is just worthless in this scenario?
I
Because
think
the
I
actual
think I
action
understand.
of how you conduct yourself is more important than how you think you should conduct yourself.
Yeah, sure. It can be more important, but then that doesn't mean there's no validity to figuring out what you ought to do in that situation. So for me, if I know what I ought to do in a situation, it makes it easier for me to know and not have to think on the fly when I'm put in a given situation. I've already went through it. I know how to react. I know how I want myself to behave, and that can help influence my actual behavior.
Dude, I just watched a cardinal feed its mate. That was sweet. I got this bird feeder right out my window. Sorry.
IRL.
Yes.
So to me, I derive a ton of benefit by going through hypotheticals and understanding like how I want to behave, because sometimes when these things come up that don't have such high stakes, at the very least, because they do come up a lot. Like, for instance, I no longer eat pig meat because I had to go through a lot of hypotheticals and try to figure out how I felt about eating something that had a certain level of intelligence and a certain experience that's similar to mine. So I had to go through a lot of different ought statements in my head. I had to go through like a lot of different moral questions to arrive at the conclusion that I can no longer engage in this.
But that's a personal thing, like that's an internal thing, right? And like.
Yeah, I was asking how JR would do this.
Huh?
But I could also make the moral ought statement that I don't think that people should eat pigs because of this. But if insofar as that, at least
why do you want to enforce your viewpoint upon others?
Because I think I'm right. But I'm not saying like we should change the laws.
Always, though?
No, I said I think
I'm
I
not
am.
always right.
I can be wrong, which is why I try to test my ideas.
I don't think I'm right.
Oh, then why would you back up your opinions? Why would you argue for them? If you think you're not right.
Okay, I guess that's the wrong way to phrase that. I don't think that I'm 100% right. I guess no. What I'm saying is that I'm always open to a change in perception.
Yeah, me
or
too.
New facts, but I'm not. But I know that I am not 100% right. Like I can know 2 + 2 = 4, right?
Well, we can assume that math is correct. So yeah, so like we have the axiomatic belief that math is correct and that like logic exists and all that. Like proving math is actually super duper hard to do. Talk to Travis about it. Like the proof on 1 + 1 = 2 is crazy.
I know.
Okay, so, but these are things that we accept. We take it for granted.
That's where I'm going, though. Is that even
Sure.
though we know 2 + 2 = 4, are we right?
No, but we should behave as though. But we should behave as though 2 + 2 does = 4, and we should expect other people to behave as though that is true as well. Until new information arises, until something contestant.
Kind of arrogant, doesn't that feel like all my information is always right? Like that's where I'm coming from.
I mean, I always think that I'm right until I'm proven otherwise. I mean, how else am I just supposed to assume that I'm wrong about everything? Like that leads like I couldn't be able to function.
I don't very well.
Well, like if I didn't think that so like for instance when I wake up in the morning, I assume that the ground will be underneath my feet when I get out of bed. And every time it has, so I'm going to behave in that manner. If somebody thinks that the ground is going to
Well, we
vanish
don't
when
know
they
how
get
to
out of
stop
bed,
gravitational pull. You know, like that's you know.
well, but no, just the ground will exist. I assume this to be true, right?
Well, it's gonna exist
But,
because
but I mean, it could choose not to. Like there could be something that happens where it doesn't, but I assign a probability to it. It's really high, so I assume that it's true, and I behave on that, right? And I also expect everybody else to behave as though the laws of physics are real. I don't expect people to be clinging to trees because they think gravity is going to shut off. So, like, if people are acting this way, I absolutely think that they should stop behaving in that way, and that they should accept the thing that I think is correct and let go of the tree
what if
and go
that
about
made
their
what
life.
if that made them happy? But what if clutching that tree
Nobody's happy clutching
built
to
them
a
up
tree
protect-
because they think that gravity's shut off.
Are you
That is
sure?
not a
What if
happy
that- What if,
existence.
dude? But what if that made this person happy? Who are you to say to stop?
So, let's say that it is. Then I would have to weigh how I feel about their happiness based versus how much harm is going to come to them. And it may become the case that, like, yeah, sure, they're fine. But odds are they're not going to let it go to eat. They're not going to let it go to sleep. They're going to stay there and they're going to incur a lot of harm to them until they're no longer very happy.
Then let them decide when they're not happy. It's not for you to decide. It's not for me to decide.
But I mean,
I'm not
I feel
trying to
like
enforce
I
my
have an
own on
obligation.
anybody else.
I feel like I have an obligation to let them know that the thing that they think is real that isn't.
The problem I have with moral statements is that I'm not trying to prescribe my worldview to everybody. I'm trying to just tell you this
What
is
about-
how I feel.
What
how
about
I
people that
see
think
the world.
black people are genetically inferior and should be treated as such? Shouldn't we correct them? Or should we just
Well,
let them think how they want and act
Because
based
we
on
have
that?
scientific evidence.
Well, what
that
about the scientific
they're
evidence that gravity
genetically
didn't shut
same.
off? I agree.
You're
So we tell them. I agree. I 100% agree, and we should treat other people as though they are wrong when they say to the contrary, just like the person clinging to the tree. So, like your example, I could tell you that. What if I said,
the clinging to a tree doesn't deprive anybody but the person clinging.
well, what about their children?
How do I know they have children?
Okay, but
How do I
okay,
know they have a spouse?
okay.
How do I know they have anything? You know, like
Okay,
all
sure.
I know
So
is
now
that
in
they're
this,
happy there.
Okay, so now let's
And
create
then,
another person
like,
who we know has a full family who's being neglected because they can't let go of the tree because they insist that gravity's off and they'll fly into space. But they're happy holding the tree. Now should I correct them?
I think it's their family's job to correct them, not yours. You are not immediately disturbed by anything other than somebody acting in
So
peculiar
how
fashion.
so
You're not
then
disturbed by anything other than them acting peculiar.
well
You're not
then can I say that
actually-
you're not a black person, so why should you correct somebody who's saying something wrong? You're not that person's family. You're not a person who's going to be impacted by them being racist, so why should you care?
Because racism is a science. Like, dude, we can show you scientifically.
I can
all
show
people
them.
are the fucking same.
I can show
Right.
them scientifically that gravity didn't shut off, right?
But listen, enacting in a power struggle against one race because you view your race as more superior does actual harm to more than just the one family of the person clutching the tree.
So how
You're
many
talking
people
about
have to be
harming
impacted?
millions.
How many people have to be impacted before I'm allowed to say something to somebody? Like, what's the number here? Does it have to be
You're
like?
allowed
Does
to
it have to
say
hit a
any-
million?
I mean, dude, you're allowed to say anything you want to anybody. It doesn't make it right. Right? Like, so it's
Okay, I'm saying
like,
when. How many people have to be affected for it to make it right for me to correct somebody? You said the difference here is that millions of people are affected, as opposed to
No,
one
see,
family.
No, I'm talking about the power struggle. I am talking about one race being held at bay due to a power struggle by another race.
Okay.
That directly harms millions.
Okay. So this one
hold on,
person.
no, let me finish my thought, please. One person clutching a tree directly harms their family. It is
And-
their family's job then. Dude, the tree clutching is not the same scope as racism.
Correct. I
And
agree.
that
I agree that it's not the same scope. So I'm asking you at what point. So obviously there's somewhere between the one and the other where it's okay to intervene. Right? And I'm asking at what point does it shift? And it's not just their family. So if their family's being hurt by it, then the people they're going to interact with are going to have a less good experience.
I don't have an answer for you.
Yeah, I see. That's what I'm saying. I don't think like these ideas don't seem to hold up when they're tested at all.
The idea that racism is more of a problem than somebody hugging a tree.
That's not what I said.
That is exactly what you just said.
No, it's
My
not.
ideas don't hold up. But no, I'm saying
No, the
that
ideology.
racism
No,
is
no, 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 no. You're focusing on the example and not the point. The point being is that when somebody is wrong about something, that it's good to change how they think about it if you can. And you said it's not, but if it affects this many people, then it is. So I'm saying, you said one person in their family, it is not okay to intervene. If it affects millions of people,
the right example to put tree hugging up next to.
Homie, I'm using two different extremes so that we can so I can try to understand, like if it's this is the same thing that's happening, but the outcomes are vastly different here.
It's not
the outcomes
the same thing that is happening.
The thing that's happening is whether or not we should correct somebody who's doing something incorrectly that we could prove is incorrect.
The outcomes are so massively different.
Sure, correct. So I'm saying
ignore that is kind of.
I'm not ignoring it at all. I agree that there's a huge difference. However, what I'm saying is that means that somewhere between somebody being blatantly racist and somebody hugging a tree, there has to be a threshold. So how many people does it take to qualify to correct somebody when they are wrong?
There is no amount.
So then the family should be okay then, right? It should be okay to correct them when it's just their family that's being affected?
I'm sorry.
If there's no amount, then why can't I correct the person holding the tree?
Why does the person holding the tree bother you?
I don't think we're communicating effectively here, bud.
But I don't.
Like I guess whenever I pose a hypothetical to try to understand how you think and how these things should play out, like whenever I try to pin down what exactly it is that you think, like you pivot away from it and just won't engage with the thing that I'm actually saying. Like we always have to come back. Like we always like when I finally get down to like here's exactly like the thing. Like what do we do here? Like you don't engage with that. You basically say like, I don't want to do this.
No. I'm not. I've never told you I don't want to do this. I'm engaging with you over and over again. I don't think my points are being heard.
You're not. You haven't engaged with the thing that I'm asking at all.
I don't give a fuck about the tree hugger or their family. I give a fuck about a system in place that holds one race above another.
Well, I'm not talking about a system. I'm talking about one person. One person. I'm talking about one person's actions that hurt other people. Right? I'm not talking about everybody being racist. I'm the one guy. The one guy who thinks this wrong thing that can be scientifically proven, and this one person who thinks another thing that can be scientifically proven otherwise that will cause harm to others. Both of these situations have this going on.
But we're talking about massively different levels of harm.
Not based on they're both only going to be harmed based on the people that if this person.
Do you not see why I have a problem equating them because they lead to incredibly different amounts of harm? Because they're not the same situation.
They're not. They don't need to be. They don't need to be. What I'm trying to say is how many people have to be harmed, because you're saying like in this situation, so many people are being harmed that you have to correct it.
Say that that's not a decision for me to make. That I don't have an answer for you. That I don't know.
Okay, so then it's just arbitrary. It's just based on how you feel then, right?
I think everything is based on how an individual feels, but that individual has gone through vastly different circumstances than I've gone through. So for me to prescribe whatever I view the world as to this person who has remarkably different circumstances is wrong of me to do. So I'm not
But
going
this
to do
doesn't
it. And
apply
I'm
if
not
the
going to
person who
engage
has
in it.
remarkably different circumstances is racist, then, right?
What?
So if I could take just everything you said I can't prescribe the way that I think on anybody because they've had different circumstances than me, which means then you cannot prescribe not being racist somebody who's racist because they have different circumstances than you.
But I would think that the same circumstances that I went through, that is the public education system, and learning about things like the Civil War and civil rights, and I would think that learning about those things would teach you that racism is wrong.
Okay, but obviously they still think that, so they don't. So why not? So why is it okay to correct them when they have different circumstances and not other people?
Because their belief leads to the extermination of an entire group of people, and I'm not about that.
What do you mean? You could be racist and not want to kill all black people. So that's definitely not like valid.
You don't need to kill somebody to take them out of society.
Well, you said exterminate, so I was just going off of what you said.
Oh, well, all right. So by exterminate, I mean take them out of society.
Okay, you can be
I
racist
mean-
and not want to take them out of society too. You can just view
Dude,
them as
no,
lesser.
I mean, yeah, but you're exterminating their entire way of life by destroying their businesses, their cultures.
Well, you're extrapolating hardcore. I'm just saying they think this way,
But
which is
that's-
wrong.
I mean, if you're allowed to go to the extremes,
Yeah, but it's
for
just you're
hypotheticals,
just
why
pivoting away
can't-
from my point so hard,
I'm
though.
not. My point is that we have accepted that we are all the same. That we as a society have accepted that all human beings are the same.
Oh shit!
And-
I didn't even know you were here, Dennis. Hello.
And so by accepting that all human beings are the same, anybody who believes different is societally told they are wrong, and here for very good reason. We are all the same. We all have different life experiences.
I mean, I can explain to you why saying that like it's a very good reason why your moral system is right, and then saying that another person's moral system is wrong for very good reasons is a moral statement in and of itself,
what
and you
about-
are telling people how they should or shouldn't think. But at the same time, like
What if I
we can.
don't want to be right or wrong. I just,
It doesn't matter whether you want to or not. You're making these statements anyways. Like you're doing it. So, but hey, I had to get. I didn't realize that I had company. My buddy's been here for I don't even know how long. I just turned around and seen that my buddy was here. He messaged me and asked me to come over. I'm used to him taking like over an hour to get here. I forgot you're like 20 minutes away, huh?
Yeah.
My bad.
Good, though. I let the dogs out and stuff.
Thank you. I didn't know he was going to be here that quick. We can do this again if you want. But I gotta go. I didn't realize I had company.
Anytime, my friend.
All right, thank you. Just so
Happy
you know,
week.
too, I know that sometimes both of us got a little bit of lot of shit. I have no hard feelings against you.
Oh,
You can
no,
never disagree with me in a way that's going to change my opinion of you ever. I think you're a good guy, and I love you, buddy.
I love you too.
All right, stay safe and get your shot when you can.
You as well.